Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Stat Check episode 35. This episode is titled Maybe Violence is the Answer, in honor of our wonderful, wonderful co host and the wonderful, wonderful weekend had by certain armies. I'm Innes, and I am joined by Nathan and Anthony as always. And we have a special guest this week, which is John Lennon, fresh off the back of getting ready to go to Adepticon, which I'm sure is going to be a thrilling and exciting shooting gallery.
He's not going.
You're not going? Oh, I thought you were.
Yeah,
I thought that was why we had you on. I'm clearly missing something. Anyway, great enterprise as always. How are you all doing? Let's start with John. How have you been?
Oh, I'm doing great. I'm getting ready for a small local GT that I can drive to instead of Adepticon.
Way better use of your time.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's great. I don't have to buy a hotel room, so that means it's a win. No, I've been doing really well. Always busy with Warhammer at the Art of War, but happy to be here. I haven't been on the show yet.
No, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and your background for anybody who doesn't know you?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is John Lennon. I'm one of the main members of Art of War 40K. So if you've ever followed the link that I'm sure Anthony tells you about twice an episode, then I'm teasing you. Then you may know me already. You can find me on my YouTube channel, artofwar40k.com, where I make a lot of free content as well on our website. It's theartofwar40k.com. And that's basically it. I normally play a lot of Imperium armies. I've done pretty well. I was a member of Team USA last year in Belgium. I'll be on Team USA again coming up soon. And that's me.
Perfect. John is woefully underselling himself. John's won like everything there is to win that isn't LVO or WTC at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Don't worry about it. John's really good at Warhammer, guys. But he won't tell you that himself because he's got to sell the subscription service to tell you that. How about yourselves, Nathan, Anthony? How have you been?
I've been fine. I'm mostly just painting because I am going to Adepticon next week, which might be a horrible, terrible mistake.
I'm so sorry.
But
you don't have to hotel for Adepticon, right?
But I don't have to hotel, and I'm just going to bring guard and pretend that the shooting gallery is a good thing. I don't know. They keep telling me every year that they've revamped the terrain, so maybe this year it will be true, but I don't know.
Oh, it's been true every time. Maybe that'll mean something.
Yeah. That's
maybe
probably
they revamped it
looking
meaningfully this time.
But I'm also doing the teams event over the weekend, which is a lot more fun. And the theme of the team is Dan Hammer. So I bought Crocs online to wear to the team event over the weekend. We're going to Dan Hammer it up. It'll be great.
Do you have some Lennon style knee socks or?
I'm sure I can find some somewhere in the closet. I don't know. I'll find some knee socks and I'll wear them just for you. And I'll wear them while the Crocs are in sports mode also for you.
Oh, excellent. I don't usually rock the Crocs, but I can get behind knee-high socks. You'll actually roll better and be more comfortable, and more people will notice you.
It's true. I mean, I expected all of those things to happen anyways, but it'll be great.
Yeah, John really needs the help getting noticed at events.
Definitely. Other than that, I'm also
Anthony, you're muted.
Oh,
Anthony's lagging. He's lagging, boys.
I said I can promise you that he needs the help rolling better. If I've ever seen anyone get scammed in my life by dice, it's John.
No, that one scout that lived at LVO was definitely average, right?
Nah,
definitely average.
That would happen. Should happen, you know.
Yeah.
How about you?
What about yourself, Anthony? How's your last week in 40K been?
Pretty good. I'm lagging, so I may just randomly disappear at points in this conversation. So thanks, Optimum. The last weekend was pretty good though. TJ was up here. I had Jim here as well. That was pretty cool. So we did some practice stuff. TJ is in the young army spiral, so we're doing what we can to figure that out because, like lots of people in ARCs, certain parts of this cancerous shit meta has left people without a home. So we're doing what we can to kind of figure it out. I played Dark Angels, like the full Drooler builds for the first time. That was definitely an experience. I've played some broken ass shit in my time in this game, and boy, has just nothing come even vaguely close to that.
He wasn't here for 8th edition, but I respect it.
Yeah. Nope, sure wasn't. But like, goddamn, is 40 just too many? If it was like you got to 30 and then you had literally nothing else, maybe it would be fine. But like 40 and support and maybe a speeder or two is like, all right, shut the fuck up. Like, enough. So yeah, that was ridiculous. I got to play some other random stuff. I got a game as World Eaters, played a couple games as Black Legion. They were perfectly fine, and by perfectly fine, I mean I won one game against GSC and then got fucking smoke checked in the other two. So that thing that they used to do where they were like, I'm really tanky, just not a thing anymore. Your Terminators die like bitches, and it's still the best option. Yeah, CSM.
I think your big mistake was not playing the Cogs of Ashtor.
Yeah, well, I didn't want to play with a 260 point dead weight, and I don't have the model yet. And there's like a handful of reasons I don't want to do that. You have to play the worst data sheets known to mankind. Dedicated melee vehicle does literally nothing else. 10-inch move.
Still the best CSM list, though.
Yeah.
It's not good. It's a dark times. I don't.
Yeah, man, but you just know Warhammer's gonna have 5 blog posts and 2 GT wins with it.
Sure.
Guaranteed. Yeah,
Godspeed.
the Idaho.
Godspeed the Midwest.
Yeah.
Don Hussein is bot 4. I don't understand how.
Yeah. Well, they're not Death Guard, so maybe not. Though it does let him run the Greater Plague Drone, so.
Exactly. Vashtor 3 Greater Plague Drones. That's all you really need.
Oh, Lord. Oh, what has CSM become? My beautiful boys. Massacred. Anyway.
You stopped playing them, and it was just like the apocalypse came to that faction.
Yo, for real.
Nothing has gone right since.
That's kind of a chicken and the egg situation, right? Like, did I stop playing them because the apocalypse came, or But
John, what's Mark Perry got lined up for Cogs of Ashtor?
Oh God, no, he's not playing that.
No.
Oh no!
if Mark Perry's not playing the weird chaos stuff for the Art of Warhouse, something's gone very wrong with that.
You've been truly abandoned, Chaos. Truly abandoned.
Is this like the hardest like faction fall we've had since GSC and 8th?
Yeah.
No, Nids
Probably.
now is probably harder, right?
I don't like Nids doesn't have the play rate, right?
Yeah, Nids can still do stuff. It's not as much, and it's not fun if you remember the old days of last month. But
Tyranids have dropped into the below 5% meta representation now from their highs in like the 8 to 10%. So they've dropped by about 80% meta rep by now.
Sure, but like that's only going from like 8 to 10% to like below 5. CSM at one point was like 18% and is now like 3.
5.
I think this is pretty bad because like I just remember reading the Chaos Space Marine book and being like, wow, there's literally 17 pages of amazing rules in this book. Surely something's going to be broken. All the rules are good.
It was just Black Rune. That was it. That was all they had. It was Black Rune and Armor Contempt.
Yeah, that was the whole thing.
Yeah.
Well, it's because they don't have any data sheets to put it on, turns out.
Yeah, that's the worst part.
Still has good rules. Just all these eggs in no basket.
Dude, one of those factions is just reroll hits in melee, and that army's still terrible. And you're like, what the fuck?
Well, and are you talking about the army that you cannot reroll hits or wounds against in melee? Also that one?
Yeah.
Because that's the same army somehow, and that's not good.
Yeah, and the 5 Affinities Mortals, and also like the just pass a save stratagem for characters. Yeah, unplayable.
I mean, I guess what we'll do in a little bit is I'll just pull up the visualization so we can just take a peek at it.
Every time I play a game with Chaos, I realize that it's way better than Chaos players think. And I was like, oh, you guys are just idiots. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
It's pretty much, yeah.
I'm just going to
start. That happens with most factions when people like you play it, though, John.
What's that?
That happens with most factions when people like you play a faction. You'll just be like, oh, yeah, this is just better than you think it is.
Yeah.
Because you can actually make it work. But most people can't do that.
I mean, I was going to make a joke about Tyranids, but I don't think Anthony could take it.
No, Anthony definitely did take Tyranids, just not far.
That was a terrible time to lag because I got flamed and I don't know what it was now.
That's fine. You can watch the episode back.
You can come back and watch the first 10 minutes of the episode.
And then you can drop a message in the group chat and just be like, hey, that was mean.
Or maybe you can convince Jeremy to cut it as the cold open, and it will just be you getting flamed and then coming back and being confused.
Good.
As far as myself to actually finish out this section, I have done not much. My sister was home from the weekend. She moved down to London, so she's been like 8 hours away from us. She came home for the weekend, which is cool. Been painting my Dark Angels because I hate myself. Sure do love the Terminator models.
Imagine not already having 30 Terminators painted.
I had 7 with Thunderhammer Storm Shields for my Black Templars army. I was like, borrow 10, paint 13 more, I guess.
I already have 30 Thunderhammer Storm Shield Terminators painted, and I just will not put them on the table.
I'm doing it for the country, bro. I got to do it for Scotland. And that's what
Well,
I'm saying to
someone's
myself.
gotta do
It's what I'm saying to myself every time I paint another shoulder pad. I'm like, no, right, it's for the country. It's okay. I can't. I'm making other people play guard. I can suffer through this for one tournament.
Yeah, Anthony's going to try to make me play guard. We'll see how it goes.
I mean, somebody's got to do it, right?
Let's
I
go.
mean, I figure you just put whoever eats glue the best on it, but
Normally that would be Jack.
Let's see if I can get Jack on guard.
I think you're doing that thing where we reference people who know everybody knows again. Anyway, let's move on. Let's talk about the week in tournament, the week in results, the week in stats. Nathan, do you want to lead us off?
Sure, why not? This will be hilariously fun in just a second. It will not. It will, in fact, not be fun. We had a bunch of events this weekend. Probably not as many events as we would like from a data standpoint, but that's okay. I'll go through factions with more than 5 people playing it for filling out the top 5. Then we'll look at the bottom 5, and then I'm just going to pull out some fun and amusing things that I think are great. First, for our number 1 faction from the weekend, we have Iron Hands, to everyone's surprise, with a 59.5% win rate. They didn't win any events this weekend. They did get 1 top 4 and 6 top 10, so they're actually not even at a 1 for overrep at the moment.
Good. Don't nerf them. They're fine. Once they kill Dark Angels, we'll be
But like we
normal.
talk about every week, the overall win rate of the faction hides the fact that there's something in there with a greater than 60% win rate, and they're already almost at 60% anyways when you're averaging the two together.
They're
it's
just
that
guys. They're just
pure
little guys.
Pure Iron Hands have a 52, and then successor chapters have like a 68% win rate. It's just that everybody is for some reason playing pure Iron Hands instead of sub factions.
I know, right? It's so weird.
There's a lot. It's like 70% of people are playing pure Iron Hands with a 52% win rate. And then there's like a smattering of people who are playing like several versions of successor chapters with a 68% win rate as the peak.
Yeah.
Can you tell me what combo of successors is being taken?
Sure.
Oh, come on, John. You can't guess.
Do that.
I was curious if anyone was
playing coy. Oh, is it Sword Heroes and Warded?
68% win rate is Master Artisans and Whirlwind of Rage, which is a 17.6% of people playing that faction.
Yep. So one sixth of Iron Hands players have spoken to me, Nas, or Lennon and figured it out.
And about 4 out of 6 are playing regular Iron Hands to a 52% win rate. Now there's a bunch of random nonsense in here, but all of the rest of it is also successors. And if you averaged it all together, it would probably be close to 60.
Shout out to Francois, who I'm pretty sure is playing Master Artisans and Long Range Marksman, which is kind of okay if you really want to melt up people from reserve against guard.
I really want to find out in a month that GW has nerfed Whirlwind of Rage and just watch all the Spacewolf players scream.
Yeah, Whirlwind of Rage goes to hit rolls of 6, getting unmodified 6s to wound counters and not counters an explosion. Like you got to you got to go through it again.
Got to go all the way through.
Or it only works when you're charged, not on the charge or something like that.
Just make it all consuming,
Only on heroic.
I think that would probably be fine. You just swap the Born Heroes and Master Artisans at that point. Like, it's fine. Who cares? But
they maybe just make both Master Artisans and Whirlwind of Rage fully, all-consuming traits.
Did you just give Master Artisans back the wound reroll like it was?
No, they shouldn't.
Make it better.
We can get it up to 75% win rate.
It should be a hit or a wound if we're being fair.
Exactly. Just custodes it.
Don't start. Chaos Demons are in second place with a 5.6% win rate or play rate. And 59.4% win rate. They won an event, 3 top 4s and 9 top 10s, giving them a 1.66 for overrep, which means Chaos Demons doing real good. Doesn't even matter.
You don't play Iron Hands or Guard, everything's fine.
Or Dark Angels. You really don't want to play Dark Angels either.
That seems bad too.
I think Demons actually have some cool stuff for Dark Angels.
Okay.
Not the pure builds. The big boy type stuff is still
expand.
okay. The Tzeentch and Slanesh builds just get flatlined by it. It's so rough.
Oh, really? I thought the Slanesh builds I actually thought would do pretty well.
No, we tried it a few times. You just kind of like the problem is Fiends is they're AP2 and they're real susceptible to damage reduction.
Oh,
So if you only front with like one
Like,
squad,
a demonette unit can actually like almost drag down a like half a Terminator squad by itself.
it depends because line unbreakable is real annoying for demonettes.
Yeah, that's true.
It depends on what kind of charge you make, and it depends how many squads you're trying to put in. Because if the Dark Angel player is smart and does like triangle to the front, so you can only get into like 2 or 3 models, it's very much on the Dark Angel player to stop them doing that. But you can definitely limit the amount of damage you take from a demonette squad to like half of it. At which point, buff efficiency just falls off a cliff.
In fairness, a Dark Angel player has never had a single thought during a game,
Yeah,
so you're on pretty good odds to just like
Yeah.
all your teammates into them and kill them.
I never promised that I could beat a Dark Angel player twice in this.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Just the
Never
once.
made that claim.
You only got to beat them once to win a tournament. You know, they're not going to go tell the Dark Angels friends. They don't want to be
Once
embarrassed.
each, we're good.
Yeah.
In third, we have Custodes, who have quietly been increasing in meta representation and win rate. And nobody really pays attention to it because Custodes players have complained about their win rate forever. So everybody thinks Custodes are bad.
Just so
But
players complained
Custodes-
about the win rate while they were on their way to putting 2 armies in the top 4 of LVO. Like they were
Yes.
miserable about that entire time. So
I don't think Custodes players will be satisfied until they get to roll a 2-up rerollable to win the game before the game, but we'll see how that works out. Custodes made up 8% of the meta. They had a 58% win rate. They won an event. They top 4'd 6 events, and they had 12. Well, they had 6 top 4s and 12 top 10 positions for a 2.35 over rep. So
That's-
Custodes are doing, as I've always said, just fine, folks. Please stop complaining.
Imagine that army had
but their
secondaries
secondaries are so bad.
Yeah.
I
How many
don't
events
care.
does Overwatch have to win for Jack to be willing to play them? Jack Harpster, which would be clear.
Just a million. He's not gonna do it. He's snowflaking now. It's too late. He's convinced
Jack won
himself.
LVO and has immediately joined all of the other organizers who won LVO in not actually taking events seriously anymore until WTC. Like he doesn't have to. He completed singles, John. You're the only one still trying in that house.
Like, even if we just look at Custodes overall in arcs, they're doing fine. They're a 53% win rate. They've got a 1.24 over rep. They've won 6 events, which is like 3rd overall.
Weren't they fine in Nephilim too? For
Yeah,
like
they were also
all of
fine in
Nephilim?
Nephilim.
Yeah.
Custodes don't need anything, Dorian Bashaw chat. Custodes don't need anything. They're fine.
Because those players need better sex.
That's true. Just any.
Yeah, the first time I like picked up like the garbage Custodes faction and realized it was actually great, I was like, oh, fascinating. Okay.
Yeah. Every time you play a new Custodes faction, you're like, wait, what?
Why does this one do 17 things?
Yeah, you
Why
can-
does Trajan get sub-faction benefits? That's the one that bugs me, is when Overwatch players will just like advance and charging Trajan around. They're like, "Yeah, my army's got terrible secondaries." I'm like, you just put Trajan in their deployment zone turn 1. Chill out.
Also, he's
After-
gonna live.
Yeah, of course he is.
Much to the
He's gonna live and then double.
consternation.
He didn't need the moment shackle and he saves because he didn't fail any.
Fucking hate Trajan.
Trajan!
Much to the consternation of every host forever. 6.9% meta representation for Astra Militarum, a 56.9% win rate, an event win, 4 top 10s, and 4 top 4s and 10 top 10s for a 1.8 over rep. for Astra
Finally,
Militarum.
some guard players figured it out. Congratulations to
guard-
Nas and David Gaylord, who finally actually went to tournaments.
It's mostly just Nas and David, to be fair, like carrying the whole faction all the way to its 3rd GT win since its book came out.
And to be fair, Dave Gaylord could top four in an event with like a Sigmar army, a 4K event, but Nas is only playing it because it's broken, and we all know that.
It's true.
Yeah, but Nas would need to win an event with it.
He doesn't really do that very often. That's not really his thing.
Thank you. All right, we're
Where
talking
did
about
GSC
Nissi.
finish up this weekend, Nathan? Because chat's asked about 4 times now.
in fifth overall for the weekend. You god damn it! You just waited a couple of seconds. 19 Gene Stealer cult players, 3% meta rep. So still going up a little bit. Now there's like almost 24 of you, I guess.
1 in 33 players at tournaments is a GSC player.
56.2% win rate, 1 event win, 3 top 4s, 3 top 10s, and a 3.15 over rep, which is a little inflated because they're like a low meta representation army. But at this point, we kind of just need to be convinced that Gene Stealer Cult are good.
John, if you're going to ask what over rep is,
Yeah, it looks like it.
Do you want to ask what over rep is, John?
I was gonna say it's overrepresentation, and I just assumed it meant an army should be at 1, and if it's above 1,
yeah, pretty much. If
Yes,
it's above like
that's-
1.5, it's usually like
It's a
we should look at
ratio.
this. It's basically you take the player rate. If the player rate is like 1 in 10 players is a Gene Stealer Cult player, we expect 1 in 10 top 4 results to be Gene Stealer Cult. Every time higher than that, so if you're
It's
3 times as represented in
overrepresented?
top 4s, you're 3 times overrepresented compared to your player base. So Gene Stealer Cult players with approximately 3% of the player base are making up approximately 9 and a bit percent of top 4s.
The current record is Harlequins with 7.8.
It gets weird with Harlequins though, because that was like the 1 week where there was like 1% Harlequin players. Don't even get me started about what happens when you have low rep factions doing weird stuff. There was a week where
it was the week that like I won a major, and then like 6 other people that had been playing elves for a while had all like had the models on hand and just went and smashed, and it was ugly.
it ain't great. Overall for arcs rather, Gene Stealer Cult are the highest over rep ratio army with a 2.53 and a 59% win rate, and that
Gene Stealer
doesn't.
Cults are fine, guys. Don't
That's
worry about
without
it.
looking at sub-faction win rates, because people are mostly discovered that custom traits in various quantities are the best way to play, but that's only a quarter of Gene Stealer Cole players who have
I
figured
heard
that out.
that Pauper Princes won an event in Texas.
Pauper Princes do have a 75%
Nick Rose won
win
an event
rate.
in Texas. What Pauper Princes had very little to do with that.
Let's give him another triple nerf. Get Aberrants down to 1 attack. Job well done.
Yeah, man, they're still they're going to just remove vultures. They've already removed vultures. Maybe they'll remove something else that starts with a V from the army, just to make sure you can't have any fun.
Otherwise, we'll do some quick hits and then we'll do the bottom 5. So Space Wolves are doing okay, just to continue the trend of Marine factions doing great. They had a 54.5% win rate over the weekend, 2 top 4s and 3 top 10s, and a 2.5 over rep.
Wait,
And had a play rate similar to Gene Stealer Cult, so 2.5% meta rep, 16 players compared to 19
Yeah,
players.
wolves
for
are
Gene
kind
Stealer
of broken
Cult.
as well.
The Wolves
Hold
are
on.
pretty.
What was the fucking successor win rate for wolves?
God damn it. 5
Nobody plays real wolves, right?
Space
Nobody wants Archer
Wolves
block this that badly.
are 45% Born Heroes Whirlwind of Rage, which is a 55% win
So
rate.
much lore.
43% is generic Space Wolves with a 43% win rate. So,
There it
1%
is.
per player population percent. And then if you go to Master Artisans Whirlwind of Rage, which is a tiny percent, and then Hungry
That's
for
Jaime
Battle,
style. Yeah.
It'd be
and
like
then
80.
Hungry for Battle Whirlwind of Rage, which is also a tiny amount. Those two are at about 70 something percent.
You have to remember with some of these sub-faction ones, there is a little bit of the best players will squeeze the optimization out. So the people who are playing the best sub-factions are playing them because they're slightly better, and then that also drags the win rate up. Not saying it's not problematic, but the people who are just playing Iron Hands and just playing Space Wolves are not teching for the optimization there, which will result in a slightly deflated win rate. It's still problematic, but...
So we should nerf Whirlwind of Rage.
Yeah, probably,
Yeah.
but it's probably not the leading factor of why the army's broken. It's just that the people who are playing that army would still probably winning almost as much with Iron Hands, but there's a tiny optimization squeeze you can get there, so they're taking it. And that has lead effects, which is like, we're not going to play pure Iron Hands if there's a slightly better option out there. Some people will. But if pure Iron Hands was the only option, I'm sure we'd still be doing almost as well with them. I don't
There's a
think that would
very
be
strong, like, if you know effect with the Master Artisans Whirlwind of Rage one in Iron Hands specifically. It's probably the most egregious of all of them, right? Where you look at it and you're like, oh, that's the 12 people that know what's up. Like, that's the most, because, like, in general, you play the strong sub-faction, right? But, like, week over week, Emperor's Children would still put up, like, 48% win rate, even when, like, me and Vic were playing them. So, like, that one doesn't have, like, the little tiny niche sub-faction to show, like, oh... this is what they're actually doing.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm sure that winner would be like 68% if it was like if it's 70% for Whirlwind Rageborn Heroes, it would be like 66 or 68% if it was just pure Iron Hands. Like the difference isn't just because of the sub faction; it's because of the player base within that sub faction.
Yeah.
The other one is do you remember the last time Iron Hands were really good? Like at the end of end of
8th
8th, start of
edition?
9th, or start of 9th one, not the Proviathan. Like the time when they were only good in Europe, but they were not good in the States for some reason.
Yeah, I remember
like that little bit in like the 4 months at the end of 2020, 2019, 2020, I think it was. Where they were good, but like nobody, everybody was playing Iron Hands in America as pure Iron Hands. You saw so many Land Raider Achilleses, it was insane. But then like Nas was over here like winning like 97% of his games with Whirlwind of Rage and Born Heroes.
Just not the Granite ones.
And yeah, no, of course not. And then nobody in the States even touched it. It was so funny. So I think there's probably a little bit of that as well.
Then what I wanted to talk about very briefly is actually what I think it's funnily enough by numbers, the best performing faction of the weekend by event wins is Orcs. Orcs had a 4.9% meta representation and a 53% win rate, but they won 2 events, had 3 top 4s and 4 top 10s, and had a 1.93 over rep.
Yep.
Orcs continue to be pretty good, despite what every Orc player will tell you.
Quietly, Necron secondary is attached to an army that can deal damage in combat while locking down primary effectively all the time.
They've also got those stupid bomb squig sniper ignore line of sight things that I despise in every way, shape, and form.
Well, every Orc player like comes up and is like, "Oh, Orcs aren't that good. If I go second on FLG terrain against specifically Iron Hands, I just lose. Anything else and I win, though."
Yeah, and you're like, "Come on," but like follow through on those conditions. Everybody loses that game if they go second against Iron Hands on FLG terrain. Yep. You're not special.
I just think it's always great because you look at Orc secondaries, right? And you're like, this is just peak Necron secondaries. You're going to score a 45 every single game on your secondaries, and your opponent needs to somehow beat you on primary.
Against your combat army.
Yeah, which is going to shove up all of its bodies, turn like 1 to 2, and then...
Your combat army with OBSEC transports, just like Necrons had.
Inner Circle loves this one simple trick. There's one answer to Orcs, I think. It's one really good one. It's Dark Angels, Terminators.
It turns out Dark Angels Terminators are quite good right now. I don't know if anybody's noticed from all of the events they're at, but Dark Angels Terminators are kind of... I didn't think there were this many of them. Like, I thought they only had 100 in the company, but apparently, like, that's just 3 lists now, so...
Yeah.
And now I'm going to make a bunch of people feel bad about their faction because this is the other part of the stats for the week. At the very bottom, with over 10 players to be specific, is Necrons, who have a 2% meta representation, which is a absolute cratering of meta representation, and a 33.8% win rate with a top 10.
So it turns out if you have Necron secondaries and you take them away and also the pregame move and you leave Necrons, they're still the same army they printed at the start of 9th, which is, 2 people on the planet are making it work. Good for them.
Imperial Knights are second to last, 3.9% meta representation, 36.4% win rate, and nobody in a top 10 or a top 4.
Good.
Grey Knights.
That book is so bad. I hate it so much.
I would play the shit out of Necrons if they were good. They have such cool models and
Knights, Anthony.
But what'd you say?
We're talking about Imperial Knights.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. You can talk about Necrons. Go for it.
You can go back if you want, but that doesn't.
I'm going back. This is me going back. I wish Necrons were better. Fuck.
I wish Imperial Knights were less complicated. Why do they have to be such a cool army? Why do they have to be such a cool army of models that just has 400 bits of paperwork that don't matter?
Yeah, I don't understand how adding -1 damage to a Chaos Knight army made it so much worse, but the Chaos Knights aren't particularly special to begin with.
I know the feeling, Vic, but I do beat Grey Knights most of the time I play them. It's only once.
Then Grey Knights are next. 15 players over the weekend, a 39.6% win rate, and just nobody doing well at events.
To be fair, nobody's trying to make Grey Knights work either. Why would you bother? Dark Angels are right there.
I got the magical Grey Knight pairing round 6 of Cherokee, which was wonderful. And I got to be like, oh wow, you are
Working really hard for really
you're working
mediocre.
really hard for what you got.
Yeah, poor. We had Adam on last week, and he very briefly touched on that game. It was. I watched the stream for that one. It did not look super fun. He was working really hard for some wraps and tags on some stuff into you're actually a combat army in disguise.
He did great.
And then Tau round out the bottom 5 just by win rate. 34 players, 5.3% meta representation, 41.6% win rate. But they had an army in the top 4, and they had 2 top 10s over the weekend. So they had a 0.6.
You belong down there, Tau. You've had your. You don't get to.
They're still broken.
I don't understand how, but yeah, it's. I hate.
They need
so much.
You need another nerf, man. I don't trust it.
And then somebody asked about Blood Angels.
You do also play Siegler a decent amount, right? So that's probably coloring it. How happy is he Treptide's back?
Yeah. Everything. I hate Tau so much.
Hate Tau.
And actually, instead of talking about Blood Angels, I'm going to talk about the Harlequins hilarity. So there are 4 Harlequins players over the weekend. So a 0.6% meta representation. They had a 45% win rate over the weekend, but they had 1 event winner. So they have a 4.98 over rep ratio.
Yeah, over rep gets real skewy at low numbers. I do want to say, though, I've played more Harlequins than that in a tournament myself. I was there 4 of them.
It's because there aren't any Harlequin players. There are players who own Harlequins.
True.
Probably true.
And Arcs has given a lot of people who like easy wins something to do with their time.
It's true.
Yeah, and then you could probably play a Harlequin army and a Dark Angels army at a tournament, to be fair, if you just rocked up and double queued it. You're like, yeah, man, Dark Angels army, deploy it, push it forward turn 1, come back and collect your win in 3 hours, play a Harlequin game in the background. You'd probably
give me 2 chess clocks. I'm only allowed to have 1 live at a time, and I'll just rack out a Dark Angel Harlequin if the tables are next to each other.
I believe it.
And then that's the weekly stats. Leagues of Votan also finally managed to win another event, which is good for them. Congratulations, Leagues of Votan. You're doing okay.
Can I get the win rates on Slanesh? Just no reason.
For Chaos Demons?
Yeah, just Chaos Demons Slanesh.
Sure. Let me see if I have it. I don't think I have just Slanesh.
We'll have it, because we can go into Chaos Demons and then sub-factions for Slanesh, right?
Oh my gosh. I actually don't think I have. I don't have Slanesh data exclusively.
Wow, there's just none. No one played it, is what that tells me.
It's because it's listed as just Chaos Demons.
We don't break it down because people never.
We don't break it down further than that. Otherwise, I did want to show people something amusing because we talked about it a little bit about Chaos Space Marines and Tyranids. So I'll just share my screen in a second and see if this will work properly, which it might not, but that's okay. Here it is. Oh, this might work. Oh boy.
Ooh.
Did that work? Are you guys seeing our lovely meta dashboard?
Well, that's a real sad win rate for
this is Tyranids and Chaos Space Marines. So this is around when Chaos Space Marines got their book. So this is Nephilim back in July of last year. And you can kind of see just the gradual descent for Tyranids to 44%.
Gradual descent to just casually the top of the meta for 8 months.
Yeah.
Casual descent.
Yeah. Well, they descended from on top to on top, but lower.
Yeah.
I guess that's a descent.
And then Chaos Space Marines had their little peak, and then they just plummeted a little bit like a rock there at the end.
I was actually really upset when GW did their meta watch that Tyranids weren't slightly lower because they were at 45%, just enough to not be but we're definitely buffing these territory. So I'm worried we're not going to get all I want back is adaptations to be adaptations again. Sisters get it. Why can't Tyranids? I want nothing else. Nothing else at all. But please just let me have the one thing that was cool back.
That is. Give me that as secondary.
Yeah, that and a secondary would be great, but I'll take just that.
Either or, I don't care which one I get.
I'd honestly just settle for a definition of what sergeant is for cranial feasting.
Is a Riptide a sergeant?
It depends. Are there drones? Are the drones the sergeant? You have to consider that the drones could be the sergeant.
They can't both be the sergeant.
Why not? I think every Custodes model should be considered a sergeant for the purpose of that secondary as well, but that's a different...
Look for the amount of times that I have to hear about how every Custodes Guardian has 50 names and is essentially a hero
Exactly.
of
If
the
he's got 50
Imperium.
names, he should be worth 1 VP.
It might as well be worth a VP. And then I guess somebody did ask about Blood Angels, so I'll just touch on it real quick. Blood Angels from the last week, 14 players, 41% win rate, 1 top 10, and that's it. Sorry, boyos. I think Arcs was a little harsh on you when you lost Armor of Contempt and Sanguinary Guard. Spam no longer works as effectively.
All the Blood Angels players are playing Space Wolves now. Like, let's be honest. None of them had any faction loyalty except Sam.
And that's the first time you get hit by the combi melt is a little bit different.
Yep. And then that's it for stats for the week, just for kind of looking at the last week of results and then some random nonsense. So why don't we transition into talking to John, and John can tell us a little bit. You want to do the plugs?
I'm going to do the plugs. That's right. Okay, guys, you're going to have to brace up a little bit for this. Hey, everybody. Thank you for being with us for the first half hour or so of episode 35. If you've been enjoying the show, we would really appreciate it if you could do a couple of things for us. First, if you could drop a like, a comment, or subscription on YouTube, anything like that, big help for us. John, stop laughing at me. I can see you laughing in the corner of my eye. It's not helping. It's a big help for us. It helps us get out there, helps us get noticed. We really appreciate that. Otherwise, if you want to support us a bit more, you can check us out at patreon.com/statcheck, where you can chuck a couple dollars a month and get access to our Discord, which is a fabulous community of a few hundred people now. We do a bunch of stuff in there, TTS leagues. There's like some weird, I think we're doing a March Madness bracket. I don't know. Somebody told me I should do that. I said I was going to pick the colors. Pay the money, John. I think Jack's in there, so we could probably get you in there. Yeah, you can speak to wonderful people like Jack and Anthony and sometimes me. We're doing a TTS league. There's some miniature painting challenges. Cliff's posting fitness challenges now so that you can look like Cliff, which I would highly recommend. Cliff is a wonderful, magical man. And if you could look a little more like Cliff, you probably should. You can also check out the website. We have all the stuff from the metadata dashboard. If you want to go deeper into those stats, you can check out stat-check.com/the-meta. You can also check out our coaching. You can check out a bunch of other stuff. I'm going to let John do plugs at the end of this segment before we go into the break. So, John, I'll leave you off just now. Otherwise, thank you everybody for being with us, and we will move on to talking about the game generally for a bit.
Perfect. Well, if you want to click on even more buttons, boy, do I have something for you. It's my YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube, look up Art of War 40K, give us a like, a subscribe, all the fun keywords, and make sure you check out our website as well, theartofwar40k.com. If you've ever checked out The Worm, which is our paywall, we've actually updated a lot of things in there, and we have an app. So if you've been in the past and maybe left, now's a really good time to come up with a lot of things. Or it's a good time to check it out because we have a free 3-day trial. So if you've ever wondered what is behind the Art of War and you want to check it out, go to our website. And we have a free 3-day trial running right now, so you can get access to The Worm and see if it's for you.
Yeah, go check out The Worm. It's some really good content in there. They do a bunch of clinics and things like that, which is super helpful. Anthony does stuff in there as well. He doesn't plug it very much, but he is in there.
I like that
he plugs it sometimes, just not all the time. He'll catch up eventually, and he'll be very insulted at some point in the conversation.
We can just insult him more.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Insults might fire him, but yeah, no, that too.
So let's talk armies, John.
Oh gosh.
John, what are you playing just now?
Right now?
What are you playing right now?
Oh God, like either 4 things or 0 things, depending on how we're defining this. Honestly, I mean,
option. I like that option.
Yeah, I'm hard in the arc spiral where I'm like, because like I like to like kind of stay in my wheelhouse. You know, after the last Adepticon when I switched to Harlequins because they were broken and I didn't want to like be on the receiving end of Harlequins, I kind of like decided I wanted to stop doing that. And I wanted to only play armies that I consider like mine, which is basically everything with more than 2 arms, Tyranids GSE, and then all of the Imperium that's not AdMech, and then like Chaos Knights, and those are armies that like I actually own. So right now I'm playing simultaneously Imperial Guard, Iron Hands, Chaos Knights, and then I played 1 game of Slaanesh Demons and submitted it to a GT. Because even though I'm not a Demons player, I've always put the little asterisk of, but I like Slaanesh on the end of it. And so if pure Slaanesh was ever viable, I told people that I would play Demons. Because Demons like has all the like archetypes of an army I would enjoy playing. I just don't like chaos. But I do like Slaanesh, and you can deduce whatever you want about me from that,
Nobody has to. You've told on yourself enough. I think. It's
no, 100%. I'm outing myself here, and that's very okay. I'll do it again. So right now I'm playing Chaos Knights and Iron Hands, and occasionally I'm being forced to play guard against my will, and Slaanesh Demons once, and maybe more.
So you're taking Slaanesh Demons to the GT that you're going to?
Yeah, it's a local GT. It's not a
So
huge
do you want to tell? Let's do that then, since it seems to be a passion at the moment. Tell us a bit about why Slaanesh Demons is cool and why people should be caring about it.
So I think Slaanesh Demons are really good because you see there are 2 data sheets and you spam them. That's it. You take 18 Fiends and 80 Demonettes, and you run at people. No, jokes aside, I think Slaanesh is really good at board control because they have a crap ton of fast obsec that can go charge, pile, and consolidate and go very far and kind of mess with other people's scoreboards. And Demons, as we all know, is a really good scoring army.
Reality Rebels is a messed up secondary.
Yeah, Reality Rebels is messed up, and then by definition of being an all obsec infantry army, you just also do banners really well, and then you have random psychers and you kill people, so you can usually find a third secondary there, and then as long as you give your opponent a couple of 4s, they can no longer physically catch you, and then you win. And I also really like combat armies. And for a while, the armies that I've been playing, other basically since Tyranids got deep sixed by James Workshop, I've only been playing armies that are just kind of guns. And I really missed punching people, so I just took an army with no guns instead. And we're gonna see if I still remember how to pile in.
You get 2 Infernal Enrapturouses, right?
I do have 2 Infernal Enrapturouses, and there's a whip on my on a chariot. But I don't know what. I know it's a gun. I don't know what it does.
It's like D6. It's like 6 shots at 622 or something like that. Who cares?
I guaranteed it's not damage 2. It can't be.
Probably not. No. I have a follow-up question. Did you build your own chariot?
No, I did not.
You're very lucky. Those models are utterly miserable. If you've seen the axles on those things, just know that every single one of those blades is a separate part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I looked at the sprues, and then it's only one chariot.
Nick, do you have one?
Yeah, no, I'm not building the chariot. I'll paint the chariot, but I'm not, because it hasn't been painted yet. Because obviously, if I submit an army, it shouldn't be one that's already painted.
No, of course not. Why would you submit models that you have already for a tournament when you've been playing for a decade and have dozens of tournament armies that you've played before? No,
right? Yeah, no.
New things. New is always better.
I chose an army that was in shrink wrap in the closet at least, so I didn't buy any models for that. I already had 80 painted Demonettes. The Fiends were painting right now, but at least I already bought.
Fiends are pretty quick to paint. I painted 3 today. It wasn't too bad.
Yeah, it's not the worst. But no, Slaanesh is really fun, and also I kind of once I played one game with it, I was like, oh, Demonettes are what Hormigons used to be and should be.
Yeah, they're also only 5 points more expensive or something stupid like that. What's
Yeah,
on 8 points right now? Yeah, they're 5 points more for a 5-up arm, 5-up in melee, 4-up in shooting.
I think Demonettes 120.
Are they 120? They might only be 4 points more expensive. It's embarrassing how much better they are than Hormigons.
I'm pretty sure you get 10 Demonettes for the same cost as 15.
Yeah, 15 Hormigons is 120. So
yeah, I think Demonettes are 120. I think they're 120.
120 sounds right. Yeah, because they went down 10 because they used to be 130. Let's say it was both letters. Yeah, no, it's really, really rough times out there playing armies that are trying to be melee. It's cool to have a good melee horde in the game. Demonettes have some really cool stratagems. You've got the 1 CP to pile and consolidate 6 inches. You've got a 1 CP reroll all hit stratagem with melee. Hysterical Frenzy and Flagonies are messed up powers. +1 attack and exploding 6s and 5-up Film of Pain are both very good on units with 40 attacks and then more if they need it. Yeah, it's a very, very cool list. We've definitely played a few games with it and been enjoying seeing what it does. I think it's been doing really well in Germany. The Germans have been loving it. I first heard about it from Arn, one of the team, either Belgium or Germany, depending on the day, guys. It's fuck you, Brian. Sorry, I just saw chat.
So you say you just kind of swarm forwards. What are the kind of the the rules that let you just swarm forwards with demonettes aside from the stratagems that and it's just listed.
I don't know if I've played the army enough to like say how it plays. I was kind of planning to learn in the first couple of games of the tournament and then like figure it out before day 2. Usually my approach to a new army. But basically it's that demons in general give really efficient wounds into shooting armies because everyone's just sporting a totally not an invul. And Slaaneish's speed and their scoring potential means that if you have decent terrain to hide behind, you can kind of camp out on an objective while scoring your points in charge range of other objectives. And then if your opponent decides that they do not want to be charged, it is 100% in their power. Your opponent gets to decide how many dice you roll in the game. But if they decide that they don't want you to charge them, they are usually just like too far away. It's like a fiend moves 14 inches and it can heal guys in the command phase if you shoot them a little bit. So like you can just poke one fiend out, and if your opponent doesn't shoot you, lol, you're closer. And if they do shoot you, just pull that idiot and then you heal 2 of them back. So even if they overkill a little bit, you just boop, boop, as long as they don't have one activation of dead fiend unit, which with delightful agonies for 5 Film of Pain is like ludicrously annoying to do.
Yeah, it's like there's very few things in the game, like a land fortress, maybe the Volcon if it high rolls to hell. Maybe.
Yeah, if I fail the spell, then like Last Chickens can do it. But like even then, it's still like, hey, 4-up invul, who knows? You only get 1 shot. I guess the Adamic Vanguard brick would do it.
Yeah, but there's not much, like, if you don't have a 3-up save or better, that Vanguard brick is going to ruin your day, whatever you are.
Yeah. So basically the army doesn't like have to play like a swarm army where like, yeah, you can try to stat check people with, I have a lot of wounds with a pretty decent save and see what happens. But like, you don't have to do that. And I prefer not to because I don't like failing saves, and I will. So I really just like that the army lets you post up with good secondaries instead of just shooting people who step out. You get to charge them because then you get to do pile-in and consolidate bullshit. And at that point, it becomes kind of like Solar Watch where you play a mini game of like, ooh, how many things can I trap in combat at a time? And then you realize Desperate Breakout works in exactly one spot, and then the whole game goes sideways and you're in combat with an army you didn't want to be in combat with.
That makes total sense.
Mm-hmm.
So you say you've been playing these guys on top of other things. How are you finding Guard at the moment? Because obviously Guard is the big talking point on the internet for us, at least, where it really feels like the Guard results should be better than they are. We finally started to see them winning some stuff, winning a Super Midget this weekend, with a win rate finally poking up out of the like high 40s, low 50s. How are you finding that army's existence right now?
So Guard are really good. I've played a pretty good amount of games with them. I find that the army is really, really good at winning a kind of close game where the opponent wasn't actually in striking distance of a win. That's kind of a thing I found with Guard because they like give up some secondaries. They just don't give up like auto 15s on anything. And then they aren't really invested in going out and killing people who are losing a game behind a wall. You know, like if someone wants to lose behind a wall, Guard just kind of give them 2 thumbs up and shoot mortars and hope that their opponent is a good profile for that. I found that Guard is really good, a little bit boring. And then like when Guard doesn't work, you're just like sitting there like, okay, cool. That didn't work. Oh, well. But like, when does Guard not work? It's kind of the problem because Guard kills almost everything. So I found them a little bit boring. The main reason I'm not playing them at tournaments right now is that I'm starting my Guard army from scratch and we had some model availability problems. And also because I've been trying to paint the army up really well. I'm kind of making Guard, for me at least, it's going to kind of be my like concession to best overall and like hobby points. And so I'm trying to get my Guard army to a really well painted standard by my standards, because I have often taken armies and 4-colored them onto the table. And and at this point I'll acknowledge I'm capable of painting an army well. And now I'm kind of like, I really want to have at least one army that's just like, oh, wow, that's actually well painted, not 4 colors. And because I'm making that my Guard project, I'm trying not to concede to myself by putting it down when it's only primed with like some metal on it. Yeah. Because as soon as I like put the Guard army down with 4, as soon as I put a Guard army with 4 colors down,
I'm never getting painted. Yeah.
I'm never going to finish painting it. So I'm trying
to a bunch of models I said I'd get back to that I've never gone back to.
Exactly. Me too. And those armies, like literally the project's abandoned. So I'm trying to get the guard army fully done before I bring it out. It is really good. Like guard is strong.
If you were going to bring guard army, what would it kind of look like, John?
Oh no! I'd actually really change things up and take Casterkin, Leontis, and some Lehman Russ and Rogel No, jokes aside. Depending on the train format, I do want to kind of change things around a little bit. I want to get Bulgrin in my guard list, and I actually bought double Death Strikes, just because I really want to be that kind of a gamer.
You want to ally one into your GSC, right, John?
You want to chase people around with dots?
No, what I want to do is I want to like find a Dark Angel player and just like slap a God Spear on them and just be like, all right, move. Like would it do anything besides like dunk on Dark Angels? No. Like everyone with a 7-inch move characteristic is just like, sure, and then the game continues. But like I just want to do that to Dark Angels. Just like find a Terminator brick, shoot it with a blast weapon and tell it to be half move, and then just put 2 Death Strike tokens. Like you know the God Spear, like the tiny one that's like, again, it takes 3 inches to get out of range of it.
But if you have their range.
Yeah, just like half their move and put 2 God Spears on a Deathwing brick and just be like, who's transhuman now? Just 32 against them.
You just know they pass all their 5 if you want the pains from mechanical at that point. But
you roll for the character first. You just gotta pin that character in there. Just put the God
the 12-inch move fly character.
Yeah, it's like on like a 2-up, the character dies. So you know that's cool.
So yeah, I'm more questioning why he's in range.
It's because the Dark Angel player hasn't had a thought enter their brain yet.
They don't have the
probably true.
They don't have the brain cell for that GT. The brain cell is passing around from player to player.
The brain cell was bouncing around a different corner of the Windows screen at that point, and it just didn't get back in time.
Oh. Sometimes you skip your movement phase and beat people anyway.
It's true.
You just sit there so you can hit on 2s with your cycle missile. That's what it's all about.
We're seeing like 2 archetypes then in guard. Born soldiers and then essentially like armored superiority and swift as the wind.
It would 1,000% be born soldiers. Armored superiority and swift as the wind is really good, but I really like shooting people and just killing them. Like if I'm going to invest in a shooting army, I want to make sure people feel it.
So I want them to suffer as I go. 6s, nope, don't need to roll these.
Yeah, I did really like David Gaylord's list. One of the reasons that my guard army is taking so long is that my local game store, the one that I get my models from, didn't get any Sentinels in the first wave, and I want to have 7. So I now have 7, but they are in shrink wrap, so it's going to take a little bit.
Thinking like 6 armored and 1 scout sentinel all by himself.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I rebased my GSC ones today. Finished rebasing them.
Armored Sentinels are kind of fucked.
So are Scout Sentinels. 3 Scout Sentinels is a really, really good pressure option for turn 1. But
I've like no joke. I've even like looked at like, all right, how many dare I cut my heavy support slot so that I get more Sentinels? Leads you to some dark
played
places.
With and against 18. It's kind of crap.
Yeah.
The ultimate problem is that it's really, really, really rough when you start getting wrapped with those armies, because they punch pretty well if you put the changers on them. They don't punch and get out of wraps against Deathwing Terminators good. There are real issues with that when you're running that many.
9 attacks when you have 3 of them, which isn't enough to chew their way through more than a Terminator basically per turn.
Yeah,
maybe 2.
I don't know. I don't know if it gets 1. Like
maybe 1
with Leontis rerolls it will, but
with Leontis it would.
You can't shoot in combat anymore.
Swears by the 3-man Scout Sentinels that just deploy on the line, tagging back to Leontis, and then go forward like 25,000 inches in charge with full rerolls.
Yeah,
it's terrifying. It's genuinely one of the most disgusting combinations in that book, which is saying something when Kazakin exists. Like Kazakin are 1, it's like 2 or 3 for that. It's a lot.
Look, when you can just run 8 inches, then shoot, then move 6 more inches, and then charge.
Yeah, Sentinels move 12. You give them fixed bayonets, or move. I think, and then they move 14. Then they move 6 more. Hell yeah!
And then they charge, and they were deployed 9 inches away from your deployment zone.
Yeah, deploy 9 away, move 20.
Yeah, it's like pretend Raven Guard are back.
Just be negative 11 inches away from your opponent.
What's stopping you from doing that with 2 units?
Nothing.
The strat is only
One
it's a strat
unit.
for move after firing.
One of them will be negative 5 inches from the opponent. Don't worry.
Yes.
The other one also won't have the Hunter's reroll, so you're just like raw dogging some 4s, which is not the most pleasant thing in the world.
Threes. Give them
For
fixed
for
bayonets.
combat.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, but then you're doing 4s for shooting. Like you got to pick one, right? So
I feel like against if you ever play the mirror, that just ends the game if you go first, right?
it depends because with the redeploy on both ends, like you can screen it as guard. Guard can just be like, no man, have 2 guard squads, it's fine.
You can eat an infantry squad. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
but going first in the guard mirror is already a nightmare because your mortars kill their mortars.
You gotta
Or their barbicans.
Exactly. So do you need to make it better?
Then you realize that you've overteched and they just took 3 more Russ and then you lose anyway. Like, who knows? Anthony's finding out all the new ways that going second can lose a shooting armor or mirror match. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is why you put all your stuff in drop pod and strat reserve. It's much more fun that way.
And I just like armored sentinels because they can pop -1 damage. So sometimes your opponent can shoot just a bunch of damage, 2 or 3 weapons, and not kill any of
You
your
can put
armored
on scout sentinels
sentinels.
as well. It's just more expensive, right? It's once you
I
pick
think-
your armor 2 if you're not. I'm pretty sure 2 and 3, something like that.
It's
2 and 3.
I don't think you even can do it on the
I think you need the
I'm
armored
Or is it just
keyword.
cheaper if you're not Titanic? It's probably just cheaper if you're not Titanic.
it's cheaper if you're not Titanic and you have to have either battle tank or armored.
It's
Okay,
armored.
If you were the armored thing.
So, yeah. So armored sentinels, the reason armored sentinels are so resilient is you've got access to that strategy for -1 damage. They also get +1 save against damage 1, which damage 2 becomes damage 1. You get that +1 save. You can also order them to just have cover. So they're just like sitting on 1-up saves against damage 1 and 2. It's kind of absurd.
And they benefit from the finial. That's my favorite part.
Yeah, they definitely shouldn't be core or platoon, but it's
They've
fun.
got all sorts of things that let them do all sorts of stupid nonsense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they've made
hate
some
that
weird
relic so much.
mistakes in the
The relic
first
makes
rulebook as
Reaper look
well.
balanced. It's insulting how good it is.
Yep.
Pretty fucked.
What if Reaper was a gun, but it was an aura too?
Hey,
I think Reaper
only
probably
does 6 more.
averages out better, but sure.
If you put the Reaper's rules on Shard Gullet, you have half of a finial.
I don't. We'll math that later. We'll math it later.
Yeah. Remember the most broken combat relic you've ever seen? Just wait until it's a gun.
Yep.
We'll math it later. We'll
Sorry,
figure it
just
out.
compare an Execrene to a Rust sometime and then come back to me.
That makes you just feel bad about yourself. Don't do it. It just makes you feel bad. It is. So, what's the third army that you'd play right now?
Ooh,
You took Iron Hands to Cherokee, right?
I took Iron Hands to Cherokee. So that's pretty fun. I haven't played them since Cherokee, but I've changed the list back to where it was before the 11th hour of Cherokee when I had to change it.
What did you run out of? Because I remember you changed it slightly from what we were talking about.
Yeah, I had to cut a Vanguard veteran unit because they ruled for
The Contemptor
Cherokee
thing, yeah.
that the character Contemptor was not a character for the elite slot purpose. So unfortunately, because he's not a character when you put him in the list, then he becomes
That's not
character.
how list building works, but sure. No, I know. I'm not explaining it to you. But for the viewers' pleasure, FLG ruled that oddly, which cost John like the slot.
Yeah,
which
so
is-
I cut a 150 point Vanguard veteran unit, looked at my paint desk, realized I had a third 150 point gladiator just sitting there, and I was like, not considering that a 0 up armor save would be a problem.
Yeah, the second Gladiator Reaper is already like only okay. The third one is running into like, what's this shooting really ever?
Yeah, no, the third one was like, I was chucking it in strategic reserves and just like throwing it places. We got to a point where I was jamming the third gladiator into a demon deployment zone because I knew they weren't going to try and wrap it. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Sure.
Yeah, they wrapped-
Why not?
Get in the way.
Deal with this thing, please. Give me some
Please.
space.
You don't have anything that flies, right? Except greater demons. So just walk around this tank.
It's exactly what I did. I just jammed it in between the buildings.
Cherokee also ruled that fly works in heroic intervention.
What?
That's just not a rule.
Brother, did you guys not like hear about like the list of rulings that came out of Cherokee?
No?
No, please
Oh.
actually. tell
I
us
broadly
about
don't pay
that.
This
attention to
is-
frontline events.
I haven't brought up like the best one yet. So you know how Angron dies the second he's on the table, right? And then eventually
Yeah,
comes
Of
back.
course.
They rule that Angron can choose his command phase bubble while he's dead off the board before he arrives.
While he's dead,
Yeah.
man,
'Cause he
that's an
dies.
extra.
And then he comes back to life in like the reinforcement step.
When I said dead models don't have OBSEC, I guess I didn't. I guess I was wrong.
Consider that Angron is
Dead
dead
Models
and
don't have
has
Obsec,
rules.
but Angron can still take yours away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no.
I don't understand some of the choices.
It's pretty funny.
Angron is pretty good if that works, Brian. You can just fail your 8 in charge from reserve with a reroll now.
Dude, the game at Cherokee on stream where the dude spent 18 blood tithe points, 4 CP, and fucking something else, and all for that, lost his pregame move, paid for Angron's warlord trait for him to kill 1 squad of infiltrators in the game was the best shit I've ever seen.
How did he even get into the infiltrators?
He charged them initially. That was the first thing he charged.
Okay.
And then like Space Wolves happened, and then he like landed from Deep Strike the first time, failed the charge, Space Wolves again, and then he landed from Deep Strike again, died in Overwatch, landed from Deep Strike again, died in Auspex Scan. I was like, God damn, bro, please.
Let a man die. Just makes me think of that one scene from the actual campaign book where Angron dies and like experiences bliss for 3 seconds before respawning on another planet.
Yep, that
Yeah.
sounds right. Yeah, except this time it was the same planet, just over and over. They were like, nope, try again.
Just imagine if there's actually just like the Space Wolves aren't letting him leave. He's
Yeah, yeah, they got
he's like,
chained to
he's
the
trying to
floor.
run away.
Nope.
Get over
spa-
here and get back.
The
Yeah.
Space Wolves are
Angron
saying
on
the
a
I
leash
didn't
that
hear no
actually
bell.
can't be multi-range long. It's
Yeah,
fantastic.
so instead of like a feel no pain, exploding sixes that auto wound and +1 to charge, that guy was like, I'm
I
gonna
think you
bring
could
this
have had
useless-
everything else, right?
115 points.
Yeah, and 15 points. After all of that, like all of that together is that many blood tithe points. You could
Yeah.
just be like, we did it.
Plot twist: World Eaters probably won that game. Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked.
No, they
I
didn't.
know.
It was
Well, they
the
did
game
that.
Brad played on stream and just put that
Ah,
guy
okay.
beneath the earth.
Angron Shantae is actually my favorite.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Thank you, Logan.
Is it at all possible that Angron is like a false flag campaign that is lowering the world leader win rate? Because like we had High Fleet Jormungandr, which like I think bought us 3 months of Kraken.
Look, I'll
Um,
tell you this much, John.
Corkin worked really hard for us for that.
I tell people not to run Angron once. The second I'm like, hey, don't do that. And they're like, no, but he's really great for me because blah, blah, blah. I'm just like, yeah, dude, that sounds awesome. Keep on keeping on. Good luck, soldier.
I do the same thing with Whirlwind of Rage and Born and Master Artisans. The first time somebody's like, I still want to run Pharos, I'm like, yeah, man, cool. That's fine.
Fuck yeah, get him.
Please.
Yeah. I mean, at some point I want to figure out a way to split off all the Angron lists just to run the stats on that. Because right now, if you just look at pure World Eaters, they have a 58% win rate. So they're actually doing pretty good.
Do we split that with Disciples of the Red Angel? Because that would definitely
Disciples is separate, but Angron is in non-Disciples lists, right? So
I can confirm for you that taking Disciples gets like all your good stratagems out of the door, so that part's fun.
You mean all 8 of your stratagems?
Dude, all the good ones are in not Disciples. Like, I don't know what the fuck.
It's true.
Well,
You
we
can't
just have
smoke
more
screen
stratagems.
your Land Raiders anymore.
You don't get the 4 of Auto Deny or anything. It's fantastic.
Oh my
If you could
god!
keep both stratagems, I would consider playing Disciples, but you don't. You just lose stratagems for taking army restrictions. It's the dumbest shit.
Oh gosh.
Tim says you can tell how much more mainstream our Discord is getting from how Angron it's getting. We
That's
gotta
true.
snap that shit out. We have to start going in there and just be like, no, guys, you need to stop talking about Angron.
No, you just let it go, bro. It's fine.
Trading stratagems for Angron. Hell yeah.
Do we want to take our break before questions?
Let's quickly. Was there anything from Super Chats that's worth touching on? Yeah, John asked a question.
Good.
So John asked, Innis/all, do you think the Demo Derby GSC build work in a rats with Meltagun meta that seems to be appearing? Money, because I forgot to ask earlier.
What's the Demo Derby GSC build?
So that is Eric Lathras's new list, which is also to some degree being played by Dustin Henshaw from Canada, which is like you play War Convoy, which is the 6 up Feel No Pain for vehicles and bikes, and Industrial Affinity for ignoring modifiers and industrial weapons. And then you tech in Agile Guerrillas as your third custom trait, which is the advanced encounter training stationary that things like Light had. Where that then combos with is you run a bunch of acolytes with demolition charges because they went down in points, and you put them in rock grinders and Goliath trucks, which also get demo charges. So you're looking at like a truck will have its own demo charge and 2 squads of Genestealers and 2 squads of acolytes inside it, each with 2 demo charges. You'll run 3 of those, and then some rock grinders, which will also have demo charges. And then you've got things like the Kellamorph Sanctus, and then various like 100 neophytes on top of that to drop in. And the idea is it advances, it chucks demo charges, it shoots you with neophytes.
I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer, but have you guys ever heard of Mirror Architect?
Yeah, it's dude. Don't think about Harlequins. Against
don't think
Harlequins,
about the
the idea
6
is
players who play Harlequins.
Yeah, exactly. There were only 4 of them this weekend. Like, why would you have to worry about this? From what I understand, this originated as a teams build for Eric, which is probably why considering Harlequins just isn't really a thing. Also, neophytes are really good into Harlequins, so it doesn't really matter. You're still running 100 neophytes with all Webbers, by the way. So 20 Webbers just says what Harlequins?
They just die. Yeah, all
Even
the mortal
the
wounds
boats.
just kill all the Harlequins.
Dude, even the
Like-
boats get fucked by Webbers. That's bad.
Yeah, all hitting. I mean, it's 6 to 2 into
Don't you have to roll over
right?
their strength?
Yeah, but that just means rolling a 6, right?
Every,
So
every 6
No,
to
they're strength
wound.
4.
boats are strength 4. I thought they were strength 5.
Pretty sure it's 4. I'll go look.
I'm gonna look it up while you talk.
No, both of you
Imagine
need to
having-
talk because you're the experts about this.
Well, no, but somebody else was talking. I mean, I've been definitely getting punched by
Oh, no.
strength 5 Star Weavers.
Oh
for a
no,
while.
they're
Yeah, they're
strength
strength
5. They're strength 5.
Land speeders, however, are strength 4.
Yeah,
So
that
land
was
speeders, it's real good into. I think if you're going to port this into teams or from teams, you probably need to put in some flamers into that build just so you have a little more answer to a few things. Eric spoke about that in one of his blog posts on Alien Majesty. I think it's a fine list. I don't think it's definitely got its own issues. Like, it's a Gene Circle list. It will be very strong right now. The secondaries are insane for them. It's a lot more mobile. You have a lot more ability to just dump damage on people, and the trucks, depending on your meta and the terrain, can be easier to protect than the bikes can. The bikes have a huge footprint and really rely on that pre-game move to, get angles into routes and things like that. And if you're playing on something like player place terrain, where you get lots of very well positioned terrain, but not a lot of it, it can be hard to get those angles with the bikes. Whereas on something with fixed terrain where there's more terrain but it's less useful, bikes usually like that better because you get to play angles and chase around things a bit more. So you might find that there's a lot of variance with that. Eric reckons it's better to things like demons, which definitely makes sense. Demons can be, like Zinch demons, can be a real pain for like the neophytes and bikes build, where like Webbers just kind of bypass that and you get a ton of demolition charges, which, just by sheer volume of them will eventually punch through demons. Whereas like with the bikes, it's just not quite the same. So it seems fine. It seems like a good list. I would not want to play it into Wolves, is my real answer. That seems real bad. Dark Angels also seems fine, but it kind of depends on how many Webbers you're bringing in. If you're taking for other matchups, it can become a lot worse. Eric's playing it. It's clearly working really well for Eric. Whether that translates down to the average Gene Circle player entirely remains to be seen. I know Eric was speaking about wanting to put more combat into it as well, which makes sense because that list is real light on punch. It's like 2 rock grinders and a patriarch of punch, which is very light.
Alien Majesty as a side is Eric Lathuris's like Facebook page / operation for getting his input on what Gene Stealer Cult should play right now.
He's got a Patreon too.
Yep. Just
Who
so
doesn't?
people understand. It's true.
Any thoughts on that, John? I know you're a big GSC guy who's not playing them right now.
I haven't played a game of Gene Stealer Cult in over a year. I'm not gonna lie to you. I wish I had something to say about Gene Stealer Cult, but I just can't get behind the current play style. Which isn't to say that it's not the best thing for Gene Stealer Cult.
No, I hate it. I described like the. Do you remember when the Ridge Runners build was super popular, like the end of 8th edition?
Oh,
Yeah.
I still have
Like Alex McDougall and you and College Sherman were playing. I described that one as guard with a funny hat on, and this build is these builds are guard with a funny hat on, and I hate it. I wish they played like Gene Stealer Cults. The only reason I got behind the current version is because it played 10 pure strings, and that I could pretend in my heart I was playing a combat army.
Yeah.
That build runs no pure strains, and I can't bring myself to pivot to it. I will probably try it out a few times because obligation at this point, but it saddens me deeply to not even play one squad.
Yeah. It does sound like it'd be really good in teams format. I think that the bikes do give a lot, but honestly, my take on it is that Gene Circle gets the most mileage, not out of how good the book is. I honestly don't think that the book is better than a 50% win rate or deserves to be. I think it's that they get a ton of mileage out of no one knows what the fuck Gene Circle does. And once every single Gene Circle player started playing the exact same list, in a teams format, you start running into people who actually have reps into it and can start to counter you. And I think, Eric, again, just by twisting, a couple knobs and making the list a little bit different, suddenly gets the, haha, you don't know exactly what I'm doing. Skill advantage takes over. I win.
Yep.
That's kind of my take on it. Because I've always felt that current Gene Circle, when the opponent just knows what Gene Circle does, they can just get a game state where the Gene Circle player doesn't have any options and they're just kind of losing. If you know exactly what GSC does, you know exactly how to screen and exactly how to get ready for the drop turn, then the game's over.
If you're playing certain armies, there are some things that just don't.
Of course, there's some armies that can't do this.
Maybe world eaters, bro.
I'm doing this with my privileged position of having either infiltrators or chain cannons. So, like, as long as I got one of those two things, I'm good. Yeah. GSC is indeed a case study of how far +1 to wound on trash shooting can take you.
Yeah, man. Remember when cultists were the best shooting unit in the game?
I do. Black Legion
+1 to wound is really messed up.
You just have like 2 Slanesh cultist units, 2 Khorne cultist units, Abaddon in the middle. List.
And Polkadot behind, slowly becoming a squad of 150 models.
Yeah, Anthony, that looks like 1 super majors.
I'm sure it did. I'm super glad I didn't play this game when it sucked, and now I only play it when it kind of sucks.
No, it was equal amounts of suck. It really wasn't that
different. Yeah, honestly, I can't really differentiate between Dark Angel Terminators and Pox Bloom and Ynnari and all that other shit.
The mechanics were more fucked up, but the balance wasn't. Ultimately the end of it.
Have a big hatred of Ynnari.
I feel like Ynnari is just my turn never ends. I just get to keep having my turn all the time.
I probably would have loved Ynnari too.
You absolutely would have loved Ynnari.
Yeah, it was a broken elf army.
I love me. I love me a broken elf army. Except Craft Worlds. Craft Worlds models are stupid and ugly. But
except for vehicles.
And say nothing about the players.
The vehicle's the worst part. They're fucking this big. It's the dumbest shit ever. I'm the tiny little elf race, and I got a giant stupid tank that dies instantly anyway. Get out of here. Raiders forever.
All right, Anthony.
Yeah,
we are going to take
10
I want to do a plug before the break.
Do a plug, Nathan, and then we'll do the break.
So before we transition into the break, I do want to plug friend of the podcast, Steve Joel's new podcast hosting site and his new podcast, which is Champions of 40K, which you can find at championsof40k.com, which is conversations with champions of our game. And Steve Joel does an amazing job of doing all that stuff if you've seen his other interview shows, but go support Steve Joel at championsof40k.com and give a listen. I think everybody will enjoy it.
All right, guys, we're going to take a 10-minute break. We're going to stick around if you're here with the live, because we will still be here, but we're just going to take a pause, give people a chance to go and grab a drink of water or use the bathroom, and then we'll be back for another half hour or so to do questions, and then we'll be finishing up. If you're listening to the live show, we're probably going to go into an ad or something like that here. Thank you for being with us, or if you're listening to the recording, I suppose is actually the way I should say that. Otherwise, we'll be back with you shortly, and you should hear pretty seamless. Stick around for the chat. Go and get a drink, guys, if you need to. We'll be back in 10 minutes.
The live stays on. Now we just get to shit talk chat, and it doesn't get recorded.
Pretty much.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, this bit gets cut out, so it'll only be for the live people.
Is anybody from Art of War then coming up for Adepticon aside from Adam? Because I know Adam Camilleri is coming up.
Nick Nanavati will be there with absolutely 0 models or dice.
Nice. What's he playing?
Commentating.
Nick's better than me because I wouldn't even go if you paid me.
Oh, you could definitely pay me to go to Adepticon.
Yeah.
Yes.
I wouldn't pay for me to go.
Right.
It's just
that's how I feel about LVO now.
Yeah.
No. Linus, I know you got touched a little bad, and I've been there. It's different.
What, for LVO or just in general?
No, LVO. It's not even close to the same, man.
As Adepticon.
Yeah, as Adepticon.
That's fair.
If
But I would have to cross the
Adepticon
continent to get to LVO. which means that there's a higher barrier of there's a lower floor that I'm willing to accept. So like Adepticon might be worse, but LVO fits my minimum amount of worse to not be willing to go anymore.
I really wanted to like have a fully painted guard army and a ticket to Adepticon and just show up and be like, oh, you're trying to hide behind an empty beer keg. Too bad angles exist. Your whole army's gone.
Yeah, everybody's dead.
It's like
And that's
Adepticon ruins are like round and full of windows.
Yep.
So there isn't a flat surface to hide. Oh, it's
a
beautiful.
mess.
Yeah, that's bad.
So-
Man, Luke, for $10,000, I will play any army you want at Adepticon, and Anthony probably would too, to be fair.
For 10
my
grand, I'll
number,
think
if
about
we're bidding, I will go lower than $10,000.
it. Yeah.
I actually think that
How much
Adepticon
lower?
at least is in an interesting city, although in is kind of relative because Adepticon's fucking 40 minutes outside the city almost by
Yeah,
car.
I don't think there's an amount of like it would have to be like an amount of money where I could quit my job so PTO would no longer matter, that I could be paid to go to like Frontline or Adepticon events. Like there's no world where I would do that because the PTO, like the literal time, is worth more to me than like large sums of money.
Brian, we're not playing this game.
Brian,
Be
I have
careful.
no shame. If you pay me enough money, I'll go to events playing whatever you want. I don't care.
I don't think Brian wants to make you suffer that much, though.
I don't
Brian
know.
like making me
Like-
suffer. It's a
How much
big,
money
he's a
can we
big
pay?
fan.
Can we pay Anthony to come to Coventry between
Oh, between California Club and the finals.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Did we make that happen?
If that's covered, I'll try it. That's that.
Oh, Cali Cup's
Ugh.
gonna be weird. I'm looking forward
Cali
to
Cup's
that.
gonna be sick. I'm so fucking hyped. You coming to
You
that,
wanna-
John?
Which one?
The Cali Cup in November?
I need to check on that. I like the idea of going to that, but I'm pretty sure I got invited to a wedding on that
Oh,
day.
we talked about that.
Yeah, like no joke. I've been invited to. All right, there's like 4 weddings this year in like my immediate family / friend group, and I think it's like the same weekend as Nova, the same weekend as Kansas City teams, the same weekend as Cali Cup, and there's a fourth like super major.
So you
That's
told
all.
that Kansas City teams weekend won too bad already, right?
Yeah, no, that I'm still gonna be at KC teams. Luckily,
You want your
probably
guaranteed golden ticket.
Yeah.
no, like my family has like 200 plus. Actually, it just hit 300 this summer. People in it, so
Oh, shit.
Jesus.
like my
Christ.
immediate, it's Irish. So no, I think I think that one. KC teams, I'm in for it. Nova, I'm definitely missing, and then
7, including me.
Really?
Yeah,
Are you
that
the
I'm like interact with. Yeah, me, my sister, my parents, my mom's parents, and my mom's brother, and that's
Mhm.
it.
That's my family as well. My side of the family, my wife's side of the family is like 300 people. It's ridiculous. Also, a Catholic family, so it's just
Was it
expensive.
LGT, John? Is LGT the one you can't do?
No, I was gonna kind of make that call after Warhammer Fest.
You guys will be there. It'll be fine.
Yeah, basically, I just wanted to see like how shit the UK is.
I mean, Warhammer Fest isn't a UKTC event, so it will not
No.
be the same.
you misunderstand. The
Oh,
country.
you mean the country itself? I mean, you're going to Manchester. Manchester's much nicer than London.
Being in the UK has been pretty dope every time I've been there so far. But I have a very biased, curated experience by people trying to get me to move there. So
Yeah, we keep we like borrow Anthony for the weekend, like me, Brian, Chris. So it depends who you're out with. If it's you and the other war guys, probably gonna have a miserable time.
when I went,
I'm sorry, you said me going out?
Yeah, exactly. That was the joke.
Yes, have you ever seen me after round 3 of a tournament?
Yeah,
have.
we were all in the bar. I saw you drinking mocktails.
After the tournament's over, you can get me to go to dinner. Yeah.
the like I don't know. He says that, but like when I went to like Anna got a curated experience. She got to stay in. We stayed in Brian's apartment, which is really nice. Brian like took care of us. So
There you go.
Yeah.
And
pretty dope.
My goal this year for Manchester in 2 weeks is to win it while also doing the pub crawl on the Saturday night again. Because that's what I did last year. So
That's gaming, but you don't have Crusher this year. You can be okay.
no,
Oh,
I know.
Dark
I
Angels.
have Dark Angels.
That's even worse.
Even
It was-
fewer thoughts
the,
need to be
the
had.
funniest thing about that event was that I was on the pub crawl and I got a message about Vic and the entire Dice Town team studying my list to beat me while I'm in a bar getting ready to go to the second bar to go to the third bar afterwards. I'm like, oh, we're approaching this very differently, Vic and I.
Yeah.
And for people's knowledge, I linked the California Cup in chat. It's californiacup40k.com.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be a really fun event. So hopefully I'll be able to make it, and hopefully I have dates wrong. I haven't gotten to save the date yet. I just kind of got like, I think this is the weekend.
Brian, I think you're his first dad.
Yeah. No, my dad's all right. He just didn't do a good job when I was younger. That's all. He stepped in later. Stepped up later. I don't know how you want to look at that. But anyway, yeah. Like, I'm very excited to go to Cali Cup. The XPZ dudes are across the board awesome, which is really impressive because that team is fucking gigantic, and I haven't met any of them that I don't like yet.
It's always a good sign.
Yeah.
John's not like somebody who knows something but doesn't want to say something, but
No, I have literally nothing against the Xenopedics. I don't know any of them, unfortunately, because I don't go West Coast much. I know a couple of them. All the ones I know are awesome.
John wasn't at the Motor City Massacre where one of them went through almost all of us when we were there. So
that's what I'm saying. Is that
John wasn't there.
Yeah.
Congrats on the team captaincy for USA, Anthony.
Wait a minute.
I am very much not the captain.
You're definitely in captain's chat though.
I am in the captain's chat because someone has to relay information for these folks while Sean's on vacation.
Reasonable.
Permanent vacation.
Well, on part. He's back this week. I had a call with him on Sunday. I talked to Sean for a long time. Sean really likes the nanny. I'm not going to elaborate further than that. That's all.
I'm really hoping we're referring to classic 90s television.
Yeah, the 90s sitcom.
Oh, fantastic. I love that.
With Fran Drescher or whatever it is?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I saw you post a gif of the nanny in the team chat. I'm like,
yep,
it's Anthony. I'm like, all right.
Yep.
I saw that.
Okay.
The theme song went through my head. I'm like, son of a bitch.
I feel like I'm missing a reference. Is this an American show?
Yeah,
It's
just like a random 90s sitcom.
Okay,
it's
that's
not
fine.
like
no knowledge of this.
Yeah.
You're fine.
Yeah.
Like,
I
John,
love
it's
how
probably
chat,
older than
the
us,
30-second
like-
delay results in interesting things in chat because immediately Logan's like, the show starting Fran Drescher.
Yeah.
It's a really funny show, honestly.
Spoken like somebody who's going to be field promoted. Yeah, Sean's just going to show up to the airport with you on the day you're meant to fly out and just be like, by the way, don't have a ticket.
Good luck. Just send me on the plane. I'm like, no. Yeah, I would prefer that didn't happen.
He's actually just he's going to meet you there and just hand you a pack of 15, 20 with the list we submitted for him. Make sure someone gets this. You choose who.
Yeah. Who? I don't know. You're in charge now. Godspeed.
You can keep it.
Whichever one of your whichever one of your prospects does best in the War Masters gets to play for the team.
That's right.
At last.
Good luck, boys.
Godspeed.
That would be
All
funny.
right, let's go into questions, NS. We've had
Right, let's do it. We're going to do a 10-second cut to give Curie a nice little place to edit from, and then we will do questions.
Someone's mic has chosen violence. NS. It was NS.
It always is.
All right.
That's a 5-second break then, isn't it? Because if you do them,
it would be fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not just going.
How much of a break do you want, Anthony?
He said 10 seconds, and then he did 10, and then did 2 at a time. I got confused. I'm not good at math.
Welcome back to the main
a
show,
5-second break.
Thank you
so
all for being with us through whatever the fuck that was. We have John on the show, so we're going to do some questions. So, starting with the Discord questions, Derek asks, did you find Fix My List fun to do? I found it pretty fun to listen to, and part of that is definitely how well you and Jack bounce off each other. Good fellas.
Oh, yeah, I find it pretty fun. I like most of our YouTube content, honestly, because it's almost always us like holding up some amount of professional content while bullshitting. And it helps to be friends with your coworkers. You know, that part's important.
Goes a long way.
Yeah. So no, I really enjoy pretty much all my work, honestly. I don't enjoy listening to Innes's mic, but you know, other than that,
Yeah,
it's
I'm putting my popular on. Give me a second.
okay.
It sounds like you're just not plugged in all the way. It's not like a over the mic interference as a professional, non-professional.
Mhm.
We can just go down the list to the next question, which is
Yeah,
also,
well,
does the ruling
well,
on Creed effectively punting her out of the window into trash land make you sad?
Sorry, what?
And it's
Did the
muted.
ruling on Creed effectively punting her
Oh,
out of the window into Trashland make you sad?
perfect. It made me a little bit sad, but I'd kind of already cut her. Like she was already out of my lists, but I hadn't like painted up my Death Creek Marshal anyway. But then like that happened, I was like, oh yeah, well, definitely going in this direction then. It did make me sad though, because I really like Creed. I like the new model and everything. She's dope.
Yeah.
You know, I don't mind getting into some new characters for Warhammer, but they definitely made her no longer an attractive choice.
Yeah, that seems real. Like, and it's your mic is fucked, dude.
Oh, fuck's sake.
Just mute for a minute. Let Nathan do the questions.
There you go.
All right, I'll do questions. What's your favorite unit to make plays with instead of just reacting?
Right now,
Or
what's that?
nothing. Go ahead. Answer the question.
Okay. So for me, I think it's the Parasite of Mortrex.
Okay.
Parasite of Mortrex is super effing fun. Basically, I just like really fast shit that's OBSEC, and if it has a couple random rules in it, that's also a plus.
Mm. Okay.
It's like I also like the scouts in a speeder package a lot for similar but different reasons to the Parasite. But the Parasite is super fun to play with.
Nice. And of course, this is apparently our new Discord question. What is your favorite way to have your eggs cooked?
On a burger.
Whoa. We haven't gotten that answer yet, and that's a good one.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm hoping my mic is slightly better now as well. But
It is.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Don't know what the fuck was going on with that. All right. Charles asks, which missions are the best from a competitive perspective, and which ones would you prefer to see at a tournament?
I think best missions for competitive are. I'm going to go ahead and say I really like the bombs mission. Is it tear down their icons?
Yep.
I like tear down their icons. I like death and zeal. I'm not picking death and zeal and conversion because you just don't need those both to exist. And conversion is slightly worse. Innis, mute your goddamn mic.
Got him.
I really like whatever it's called, Tide of Conviction, which is weird because I never liked Dawn of War, but Tide of Conviction is actually pretty good, I think.
I find that mission fun. I
like New Scouring. With the small changes to the action secondary, I like New Scouring a lot as a shooting army.
Yep.
So that I've been pleasantly surprised by how much I like Scouring as Guard. Because I went into that being like, oh, gun armies hate Scouring. Let me try this, and then I'm like, oh my god, Guard loves the Scouring. This is fucking great.
Yeah, that mission's super fun. It's always been my favorite, but it I'm glad that other people can enjoy it too now.
Yeah. No, I think in no particular order, I think Death and Zeal, Scouring, Tear Down Their Icons, and Tide of Conviction were like my four. Those are the four missions I really like. I don't mind whatever the moving objective one is. I just find that one like super terrain dependent, like how much does moving the objectives end the game. The Vengor launchers. Yeah, excellent.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my answer.
Cool. Yeah, anything that isn't recover the relics and sanctuaries, right? That's really the answer.
Those were definitely the ones I was very sure I wasn't going to say. I was like thinking like, do I like Conversion or Death or Zeal better? Well, they're both better than abandoned fucking sanctuaries.
Yeah, sure is.
Yeah, what isn't, right?
Mm-hmm.
So folks have hypothesized.
One of Cherokee was abandoned sanctuaries, and my ass played into Lord Invocatus World Leaders on that, and I was like, oh,
of course.
Yeah. It was great. It was like, I'm going to just deploy my Iron Hounds on the line. There isn't a single thing you can do about it.
All right. This is a long question, so I had to read through real quick to make sure that I understood it. So people have hypothesized that the first turn win rate for arcs is more than 50%. In Magic the Gathering, you win the flip and choose to go first, and then you forfeit your first turn draw. Is there something that you could be similarly implemented in 40K that acknowledges the power of going first, but requires a trade-off for doing so?
I mean,
Oh, that's tough because going first is only good on certain terrain formats and with certain armies.
I feel like part of it is that I think the only way to do it is you can't put a penalty on first turn. You have to put a penalty on choosing to go first. Because otherwise, if let's say I was in a matchup where I wanted to go second and I won the roll off and made my opponent go first and then they took a penalty, that would be rough.
Yeah.
So like my vote is that the winner of the roll off chooses who goes first again instead of just going first. And then you do some weird shit like the player who goes first doesn't get a command point on the first turn. But then also you recover the relics from the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's get that out of there completely. So something like that, I think that like stylistically be how I would want to do it is that if you win the roll off and choose to go first, you take some kind of small penalty on turn one. A CP could be enough. It could be that you can't score the mission bonus on player turn one. Something like that.
I think that makes sense. I think that's much more like because you're choosing in Magic, right?
Yeah. It can't. In my mind, it can't be. I win the roll off. I make you go first, and you get fucked. Like we can't do that because I see a lot of like when you could win the roll off and choose. Sometimes you just got to do that, and it's just like super bad.
Yeah.
Next question is from Luke in Discord, which is, could you guys talk about what makes good terrain for a board? Asking as a newer player wanting to set up fair boards at my local shops league that's balanced, and I could use as realistic practice. It's mostly a singles associated question.
I'll take it. So, in my mind, what makes good terrain is the ability to hide the unit, like most of your army, and you get to choose what gets hidden. Like that's kind of what I look for. It's like it doesn't need to be a game state where the person who goes second hides their entire army and never gets shot ever. That should only really apply to very small footprint armies or reserve heavy armies, or against armies that don't move fast and shoot. But it shouldn't just be like, oh, you can't shoot at all. I think that's just too far in the other direction. So I really like terrain that has like one good hiding spot that you can't fit a whole army in, and then a couple of modest hiding spots. So like I look at that as like one ruin with no windows in my deployment zone. Some things are going to be in here and not die.
Yep.
You can't fit a 2,000 point army in this.
Yeah.
And then like some like car containers and forests and like small L's with windows in them where you can tuck a couple things up against it. But as soon as you try to hide a couple units behind an L, someone's poking around a corner and shooting you. That's kind of what I like for terrain is a lot of I like the lot of small ruins style that WTC has. Really, I want to just like do the down the middle hybrid where I take the middle of the board and it's all WTC terrain. And then in my deployment zone, I have one GW ruin. That's what I want.
That seems reasonable. I think that makes sense too, because you don't want to teach people that they can hide their whole army.
Yeah, you shouldn't be able to hide 2,000 points of most factions in like just in your deployment zone with no penalty.
Right.
Like Custodes, maybe. That's about the most I can get hiding behind a wall.
I think there's also a realm where you probably want one ruin that's tall enough to hide a knight behind as well, probably. Like a knight. Maybe.
I think that we don't do that really kills a bunch of builds in the US. I'm broadly more on board with it now that I've played that setup more. I used to think it was silly, but now I'm like, oh, you kind of have to. And even there, those armies are still kind of shit. So like,
well, on that terrain format, Anthony, Angron actually is really good. You see.
Yes, he's awesome.
Innis, if you just type your
events.
Ennis, what'd you say? Your mic seems not fucked right now.
You should definitely play Angron at like LGT events, and then you should let me play you round 1
and 2.
You want to lose round 1?
I mean, it depends. Am I playing Crusher or Grey Knights or Necrons?
Yeah.
Necrons.
Next question from Grant is favorite heresy character, faction, legion, or army? Get to pick one of any of those things.
I mean, I'm gonna be at so Jagged Icon is definitely like my favorite Primarch, and White Scars are my favorite Heresy Legion. It's also the only Primarch that I actually bought. I got that guy from Forgeral. I got Khan. I'm gonna just continue the trend and say my favorite Heresy book was Warhawk.
Nailed
That's a
it.
good one. That's
Yeah,
a good
like-
choice.
Just straight down the middle. That's my
Yep.
choice. Khan.
Seems real.
Anthony, you can answer this question if you want.
My favorite. Let me look at it real quick. My favorite character. I don't actually have like offhand. I don't really have like a good one for that. There's no. Oh wait, no, I'm totally lying. Amit, 100% all day, easy. Goes to found the best chapter. That guy's fucking awesome. My favorite faction. I don't really know what that means in Heresy. Like, isn't that just Legion at that point? My favorite Legion is
Basically.
definitely the Emperor's Children. But my favorite like army, I don't know. Like, I'm gonna substitute this one with Primarch, which is actually Sanguinius and not Fulgrim.
Reasonable.
No, you're
Fulgrim's
wrong. Ahriman and the Thousand Suns every day.
Hmm.
Yeah.
They get beat up by the furries, though. I don't know.
They choose to get beat up by the Furries. It's clearly a kink thing.
Yeah, I chose to walk within 12 inches of the Wolfguard veterans, you see.
Yeah.
These are all just choices. I take.
They were just trying to make sure that their army
You're
didn't get
a lot.
nerfed in the Heresy balance days. Like,
It's like being just outside 24 of a Retributor unit, right, John?
24.1 away is the best place to be.
Do you know that story, Annis?
no, I do not.
John, do you want to tell that story? Because it's a fun one.
Fair enough. So I was playing I was on a little vacation in Belgium last August. Playing some low stress games, like round 6 against Poland. And yeah, so I'm playing Custodies and I've got Triple Caladius and I'm playing against Sisters of Battle with like 3 units of Retributors with like stacked multi-meltas. And like I don't want to like give an excuse because there genuinely isn't one. But I in my like first movement phase, I went first, I couldn't see him, I just like moved up a little bit. And I just pre-measure out and I say, hey, I'm going to put my Caladius 24.1 inches away from your Retributor so you can't shoot me. And he's just like, yep, thumbs up. Just 24.1 inches, just barely 24.001 away from a Retributor. I'm like, cool, just doing this so you can't shoot me. And we're like, we're good. And we go to his turn and he's like starting his turn. And Nick, who was coaching for us at the time, walks over and is like, hey, some of the other games didn't start so well. How's this one going? And like, as we do that, I turn and my opponent's like, hey, I'm going to move so that I'm less than 24 inches away. Because, the Retributors got to move before they checked their 24-inch range. Turns out, yeah, me currently like at that point in time, I was like defending best Sisters player in the ITC. It's like, really don't have an excuse on this one. Just walks the Retributor up 0.1 inches, blows up 2 Caladius. And like, this is as Nick is like giving me the like, hey, we need you to do better than you're projected to score. And I'm like making eye contact with him and he's like watching me just go like 0 for 4 on Invulns, 14 on 4d6, clean scooping Caladius out there. And I'm just looking at him, I'm like, super not good.
Yeah, I'm not doing that for you, buddy. I'm really sorry.
Yeah. However, in my defense, after losing 2 Caladius on turn 1, I proceeded to get an 18 out of that game. But there was some clenching moments in there, and we did not win. We did not win that round.
We did not.
Would you have won if you 20'd?
What's that?
No.
No, then that's fine.
No, yeah, no.
It doesn't matter.
I don't think we would have drew if both of us 20'd. Like,
How many points did you get that round? We had like 65. I think we were like a solid 10 short of a draw.
yeah, so 13. No, we still would have been short.
Yeah.
Okay, then no pride, no harm, no foul, right?
Yeah, no harm, no foul in my end. But like, there was just like a 50.
Oh, I've made this harder than I needed to.
I had to sit there for the rest of his turn as this was happening, while I'm thinking to myself, like, am I costing us WTC right now? And out of that pressure, I genuinely think I played the best turns 2 to 5 of my life. However, turn 1 wasn't my best math moment right there.
I think we've all been there,
14.
right?
What's that?
We've all been there on the just like not really measuring it as well as you could have, or not really thinking through what the actual threat range is.
Yeah, no, I just was like, oh yeah, 24.1 inches away, no problem, perfect spot.
I would
moved
love to see
14
like
incline. I could be wherever I wanted to be.
I would love to see like the translated to English thoughts running through that man's head as this is happening. Like he's just like, just be cool, just yep, 24.
Say nothing. Say nothing.
Yeah.
You're right. I can't currently shoot you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's definitely one of those where it's like, have you ever had somebody just like measure your threat range, but like go around a ruin and you're breachable? And you're like, they're like, okay, so I'm going to be 24 inches, and you're like, oh man, so I'm going to go this way and be like a 4-inch charge.
Yeah. Hi. Wham.
Yeah, that one's rough.
Yeah, I was just, and like it didn't help that like one of them, by the way, died to like Vol no miracle dice rolling a 6 on damage when I had 6 wounds left. I was just like, like no CP, no miracle dice. He's just like, well, so like if I roll a 6, are you dead? And I'm like, that's how it works. And he's like, okay.
With all the energy of somebody seizing on you in a good matchup.
Yeah. Just nothing but fun in that one.
All right.
If Dev Doctrine was wheeled back to only 2 turns max, and Codex Warfare was 1 point per doctrine, how badly would Iron Hands and Dark Angels drop?
Dark Angels barely.
Dark Angels don't even move.
Yeah, I haven't
like their actual army.
seen the AP of a Dark Angel weapon yet. Like, I don't know. Just broke my hand on their face for 5 turns.
Yep.
It's not that bad for Iron Hands. You still have the 1 CP stratagem. You probably just lean away from like the Reapers and things like that a little more. But honestly, just a second turn of it is enough. The fact you can get your strat reserves in with a turn of Dev Doctrine is usually enough to close most games. It will hurt the tougher games, but that's probably good. The 1 point less on Codex Warfare is fine. You would just take a different secondary. It does just make that secondary unplayable again. I think there's not really a great middle ground for that one, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, they could cap it, right?
Yeah. You could cap it, but at that point, it's just unplayable because you're never getting kills in other doctrines.
Well, you can get kills in Assault Doctrine with your Vanguard veterans.
Yeah. Realistically, the kills in combat should be 2 when you're in Assault Doctrine. That's
I fully agree.
You have to change it.
Flip the entire thing.
Yeah. It should probably be 1-1-2, and that would be fine with the current style.
I'd be fully
without changing everything on doctrines.
Hey, how fucked up is it if they just let White Scars start an Assault Doctrine and stay in it? Is that like not allowed? Is that like hard bad? Is that a bad idea?
White Scars would like be like a 52% win rate if we did that.
It'd be you could
win a like actually fine. I feel like I'm getting trolled by 2 people.
You could win a super major with White Scars with that list, but I don't think the average player would do much better.
Okay.
Yeah, you're
still not making combat on turn 1, so like it's only an extra turn early.
Just asking.
Mm-hmm.
What's the balance?
Do it and find out, Anthony.
Yeah, do it and find out. I do own everything I need for that currently. Like whatever the current meta build is, I got it.
It would be totally balanced if we did it, and if we did it, Jaime would need to find a new army.
It's 100%. Hilarious that you think that we'll get Jaime off Space Wolves if they're not just like gutter tier garbage.
So Space Wolves, continue.
Yeah.
Look, all I'm saying is White Scars players right now are playing Gulliman, so it's real bad times out there for us right now.
He's in my list too. I have nothing to say.
It's so bad, isn't it? Gulliman and Plume of the Plains Runner, bro. We can pretend we're a real army. With your speed aggressors moving 7.
No. Centurions +2 to advance and charge.
Hey, they're not core. They don't get Plume.
They don't need it. It's an 8th edition rule.
Did not get changed to core infantry? I thought a bunch of that stuff got changed. That's so much. They're still not good in White Scars. Like
no, infantry. I wrote a list and then I realized I could just take 2 Thunderhammer Storm Shield Terminators instead of a Centurion. I'm like, oh,
that seems better.
Forehead.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me just.
Yep.
So your point about veteran GT players having a 57% win rate is good, but you should look at it in the context of all veteran win rates for all factions, not just by itself. The question that we have, the second question from Logan in chat in Discord is, what's the balanced solution for Deathwing Terminators? The rest of it is just vamping on that question. So,
I feel like you could just make Thunderhammers cost 5 points, and then also Cyclone Missile Launchers cost not 0 points.
20.
I was I was thinking mini transhuman
Welcome.
for Inner Circle instead of full
I don't
transhuman
mind
on
the
Inner Circle.
transhuman. I don't mind them being resilient. I mind them doing damage as well. And
I
doing
mind their score. Their score line's still just a little bit too good. I really think if you just like made the Thunderhammer Storm Shield model 38 instead of 33, and then they also had to pay for Cyclones, I think it would honestly be fine. Almost like that, because then it would be there's just less Terminators on the board. And I think part of Dark Angels being so broken is the fact that like the meta that we kind of came out of was a Mortal Wound meta, and we went into like a no Mortal Wound meta.
Yeah. Well, you killed all the
that
Mortal Wound armies,
fucking
right?
guard.
Yeah, well, for whatever reason, Guard weren't present. Like they were on sick leave for the first 2 months of arcs. Don't really know what happened. But like I was part of that problem, so fair enough.
Yeah. Just
All
unnerf
the good
Zoanthropes.
players just not playing after LVO. It just sucked all the energy out of us.
You should they should just unnerf Zoanthropes. That'll nerf Dark Angels.
I'm there for that.
Yeah, both of you just
Give me Reaper. Give me back Reaper too while we're at it.
No, Spore Mines in this.
no.
I just need a
Yeah,
Spore.
spore mines and Zoanthropes, and we can talk. We'll talk, GW. We'll fix this problem for you. Promise.
We'll fix that 45% win rate, no problem.
All right. Preston asks, what's your favorite coffee? Processing method, origin, brew methods, all acceptable.
Ooh, let's upset a whole bunch of different people at once. There's basically no difference.
I don't drink coffee.
I don't
like
drink
a
coffee
mocha.
either.
Mocha's nice. It's a hot chocolate with caffeine in it. It's great.
I must be the only person on here who loves coffee. I make coffee every day, but I mostly
You're
make
also about
drip
45
coffee.
years older than us, Nathan, so your taste buds have matured long enough.
You mean he's burned them?
I've burned
Yeah,
them out
pretty
with
much.
my coffee. I only drink coffee black as well. I don't know. It's just the way that I am.
I've got nothing on coffee, unfortunately.
It's
I do
fine.
not.
I like a medium or a dark roast coffee.
I could wax lyrical on vodka, but not coffee. Sorry.
That's fine. I actually am not enough of a coffee nerd to be able to talk about origin of coffees as something that's important for coffees.
Mm-hmm.
The next question is about how my wife is doing because she has COVID. She is fine.
Very glad
She's starting to feel better as of today, and my back is terrible because sleeping on a couch is not great in self quarantine.
Yeah.
Grant asks, "Do you think crossing the Rubicon makes everything bigger?"
Not your play rate. Shout out to Mephiston.
Oh, Azrael too.
Yeah, it's true. Azrael's play rate.
I don't know if you noticed, but Helbrecht and Grimalda sure did disappear from lists once they got primarisized. Nothing to do with the index
Helbrecht.
books going away.
Small side note, yeah, Helbrecht fucks.
Yeah, I know he does.
On
But
Helbrecht.
he sees way less play because Black Templars just aren't as good as the index books.
Helbrecht didn't go up in points and just got like
A million
Christ.
buffs, yeah. I played against Helbrecht in RGT, and I was like, oh, he is just flat 3 damage with like a million attacks. And then they stuck the Mortal Woundlet on him and started sweeping into my Terminators. And I was like, please stop this.
I got
it's fine,
Gulliman
it's
into
Black Templars.
I got Gulliman into combat with Helbrecht once, and I was like looking at the stats. I'm like, what?
Yeah. Yeah, you just lose. You're like,
No. Gulliman just passes all his stuff in vulnerable saves because he's an 8th edition model. It's fine.
My Gulliman in this.
Okay. My Gulliman in the last game I played with him went through 2 squads of Berserks taking 3 damage.
Look, I've been powering up my stand-up for 4 years now. I'm going to get him eventually.
one day.
I do appreciate the fact that you can't command reroll it now, so I just never let him die. I'm like, nope, not risking it, not risking it.
Derek in Discord asks, given the choice between putting them all in one book with heavily cut down rules or splitting them off into entirely standalone codexes, which would you like to see done for the big Space Marine chapters like Space Wolves, Dark Angels, Blood Angels,
separate
Black
them.
Templars?
Big Space Wolves are a lie. Space Wolves should have the same set of rules as Imperial Fists. I don't give a shit.
Brutal.
All right.
Yeah. One gets ignore cover. One of them gets like fur. I don't care.
I
You could
honestly
put fur
think-
on the models that we won't jail you is the Space Marine subfaction.
Honestly, I think if you just gave them the CSM Legion treatment, where they were just all in the book and all had like a splash page of relics and stratagems, that would be fine.
Oh, they did such
But
a good job. with
This,
that book, and that
this
army's so fucking bad.
supplement nonsense where you have 50 books around, like in a spoken wheel format, around one book, I think has been a mistake.
you'll pry March of the Ancients out of my cold, dead fucking hands.
It could still be a stratagem in the book. You just get one
It
page
won't
of
be. I want to keep that
stratagems.
8th edition supplement well into 10th. That's the goal. I just want that book to just be like there, like a limpet stuck on the edge of the edition.
Maybe
forever.
Maybe in 10th edition they'll accidentally combine Legends with Match Play, and I'll get my Chaplain Dreadnoughts out of cold storage. Oh, Anthony wasn't there for Chaplain Dreadnoughts.
I have
all I want is the regular Chaplain on bike.
I have a couple unassembled ones in like a drawer of models because they got put into Legends before I could assemble and paint.
No, you weren't the only one, but I got 3 of those bad boys. I didn't throw them out when the time came. I held on to them.
Did you not just do the what everybody else in Warhammer did and just sell them immediately after LVO because they knew it was getting nerfed?
No, I kept them. I'm nostalgic. I still have my Leviathan. Haven't put his ass on the table since.
Preston asks a horrible question that I'm not voicing because I don't want to do that.
We're not going
to
ask. We're not going to answer either of Preston's questions because they're both terrible.
Okay, but Grant asks,
Someone
do you think crossing? Or no, we skip that one.
When you finish the episode, I'm going to send you an invite to the Discord, John.
Yeah. What core rule changes does John want in 10th?
My first core rule change is to remove core.
I like
core
it.
was a failed experiment. Like,
Sure.
it's just some shit should buff vehicles.
Just write exclude Centurions on like half of the Space Marine rules, and you would have done most of what core was intended for.
Or just like cost Centurions appropriately, and then we don't have a problem with them receiving buffs. Insane that they decided like 3 or 4 years ago. Over 3 years ago, they decided, Centurions were too much. We're going to change the buffs on them instead of changing the Centurion. And they just kept that approach through 3 years and like 10 FAQs.
Whatever lets me buff Talos again is the answer to this question. What the fuck?
I would like some buffs for the pure strains, please.
No. Aberrant?
I want to, honestly, thing that I miss, like if I'm just listing like shit that I miss when everyone got +1 attack on the charge. I miss when charging was better than being charged.
Yeah.
Because like every time I go from playing a Space Marine to a non-Space Marine, and I'm like, oh, I'm the same in combat. It doesn't matter. Okay. Like I miss when charge bonuses are relevant.
Yeah. Real.
Yeah.
I mostly just think fight last shouldn't turn off charging. Just charging should be separate from fight first. Like you shouldn't just like fight last. Just
like that
affect charging units.
So kind of like it was in early 9th.
Yeah, exactly. Like you charge a thing, fight last does fuck all. You've charged, you fight before. No, you fight before fight first. You fight before chargers.
I get mixed reaction in this. Do you want to bring initiative back?
No, I think
I agree.
if you were gonna do it, I would do it as like 1, 2, 3, 4, where there's like 4 stages, which are just like charged, fight first is like 4, 3, normal is 2, fight last is 1, and just 4 stages. And it would do the same thing.
What they've done.
Yeah, except they've got 1, 2, 3 just now, right?
I think 1, 2, 3 is fine, but
1, 2, 3 is fine. But I don't like the whole like you charge Drazar, he makes you fight last. You like I don't like it. I don't like it for any source of it.
I don't think it's that big.
You're the biggest get good face on right now.
I mean, like, more than happy to abuse it, like fucking playing Armor of Wrath and stuff like that. I just think if you charge something, you should fight before it does. Like, I don't think it should be a thing.
What I'm really hearing is that charging needs to be like have a benefit, like based on.
Also, get rid of Desperate fucking Breakout. It's such a stupid strategy, but it should not exist.
I think charging should just be your movement characteristic plus a d6.
I don't know how that makes
you want to see Flyrants back.
Maybe reduce movement a little bit. Yeah, I'm game. I'm everyone though. Like everyone
17 plus. We can always pretend we're playing Harlequins.
All right. Oh, we're gonna skip Nick K's second question and move into Derek's like millionth question. Apparently,
Derek's got it.
Does it make John sad knowing that his White Scars can never have a goon sesh with the boys after a hard day of riding bikes and doing murder?
I don't think John's the right person to answer this question in any way, shape, or form.
No, keep moving.
All right, let's keep going.
Which factions do you think are stronger than their stats suggest, and which factions do you think are weaker than their stats suggest?
First one is Gene's Thorkel, weaker.
You think they're weaker than their stats suggest?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
I don't think they've earned their win rate. I think they've gotten it off of people not knowing what their rules do. And sometimes not finding out what the rules do till after the game.
That definitely is a thing that happens.
Yeah,
There's also probably a degree of the Gene Cult players not knowing what the rules do.
that's
I-
also a thing.
That's the implication, right?
Gene Cult are still good. I'm not just trying to come in here and say that Gene Cult are a shit tier army. I just don't think that they're as good as
No,
their
they
numbers.
should not be a 60+%.
Yeah, I don't understand that at all. I don't.
There's not the degree of the bad players playing them as well. Is probably
That's
propping their stats
also
over
true.
it.
Yeah,
People who are playing the cult builds right now are people who are dedicated cult players who have put effort in, or people who are getting to that level, or aren't playing events. Like they're not playing the GTs that we track for this.
Yeah, you
People
just
who are experimenting with this are playing RTTs and they're doing terribly or they're getting better. But people who are playing at GT status have like at least to some degree put in the graft with this and will be doing better just because of that, because of the low population.
You can't casually acquire a Gene Cult army. And by the time you have a Gene Cult army ready to take to a tournament, you have played it casually to the point where if you are the player who gets dumpstered while playing Gene Cult, you probably switch to something else.
Reasonable.
So, as far as armies that I think are better than their win rates,
Guard.
Guard, I would agree with you for several of the past weeks, but I think they're starting to fall into about where they should be.
Nah, I think 54 is too low. I think they should be like 60% win rate. I think Guard are fucked.
I think they're between 55 and 60 would be like the real number, as if that means anything. I think it's Harlequins.
They would have
Harlequins
to have players to win games.
the Harlequins are still fucked, man. Like it's the fact, and I'll go on my rant here. It's the fact that when an army is good, GW looks at its rules and it tones them down. And when an elf army is good, they tone down one thing and then be like, oh, we don't want the elf players to feel too bad. Let's go ahead and give our rules writer who plays Eldar a bone. Every time an elf army gets nerfed, they simultaneously give them a reach around of like, here's something nice for you. Don't worry.
Get a little buff.
Let me put down a little velvet pillow for you while we.
Can I just say how much it frustrates me that Hale is fucking back in the meta right now?
How is Hale back?
Like, come on, guys. We thought we killed you. I get it. Like, they killed Superhawks. Superhawks are gone. But
Good.
why is Baharoth still a thing? I don't understand how that model's okay.
Why did they give the pivotal roles and the unlimited fire and fades? Why?
Just leave Harvester of Torment alone. That shit's super fun.
No.
No, it's not. I hate having. Do you know how annoying it is to have to explain to a hardcore player why they have to slow roll it?
Oh my god! Every single time.
They all don't do it right.
None of them do.
Well,
Absolutely.
you don't have to in FLG.
You do with Harvester.
No,
There's no way you
FLG.
cannot fast roll Harvester.
Not
Not
FLG.
FLG.
Fuck that.
My favorite Harvester moment was at Adepticon last year. James Kelling from Goonhammer, wonderful guy. He got his Death Jester to engineer 12 hits on my Death Jester, and with a little bit of luck dice, mine survived and put 12 hits back on him. He did not survive.
Nice.
Yeah, it's like -1 to wound. He did like 8 wounds, and then I like luck rerolled all 4 of the ones that I failed, and like got him.
Because
down
obviously
to
this was the 5 luck dice days.
Obviously, I had 5 luck dice at the time, and then I had to reroll ones, or it's like I had 1 wound left, and I shoot back at him. I get 12 hits because that's how the Harvester worked, and he had used luck, and like he didn't have luck dice at that moment in time, and he just got evaporated. And then I just kept shooting for the rest of the game and won.
Thumbs up.
Will asks, and I'm sure this isn't like trying to get any insight from Team Australia here. How's everyone's WTC prep going?
Well,
Brother, I don't even know, man.
it's going pretty good.
Joe-
I'll answer
Joe's
for
like-
you.
It's going pretty well. It's more just like the looming acts of like, will 10th edition drop soon? Which like,
It's so stressful, bro.
yeah. I remember what like, because like 9th edition was a little bit weird because of COVID. But like I remember 8th edition, which is the last time we got like an in the wild edition drop. Those first couple months of 8th edition were different.
They were. It's taking the theoretically best period of the previous edition and dropping it into immediately the shit showest worst section of the next one. Because the start of edition is never in any way, shape, or fucking form balanced. We don't even know what balance looks like for that game.
The very end of an edition gets pretty fucky. Like 7th and 8th were just both completely off the rails by the end of it.
Yeah, but that's, I think, because they gave up. Like, they weren't balancing them to the same degree they are now. Like,
I'm
we're
so
theoretically
excited to
getting a
find out.
data slate 3 months before the edition.
I'm so excited to find out what kind of a balanced data slate we're getting after Adepticon.
Dude, I hope it's, like, I hope it's like just everything into the air. I hope it's just everything's back. Like just revert every
Just
codex to
blank.
launch date.
We deleted all the data slates.
Well,
Just get rid of it. They're like, right, boys. Here's like the content validity. Here's Crusher back. Here's Quartalos with
No.
AOR.
No.
Here's AOC. Here's AOC back for Marines. But also, you've got all of the points, and everything's just peak
No,
power level,
stop.
and we just see what
Somebody
happens.
stop.
That's honestly,
it.
that's Games Workshop's best strategy to get me to buy Lizardman. Like,
Dude, I want Levy Supplement Crusher with this codex for one
No.
tournament.
No.
One
No.
tournament, bro. One
Enough.
tournament.
How do I
Enough.
mute him? Shush. Get muted.
All right. We're going to go to the
No.
next question. John, what's the best and worst part of being a top tier 40K player in America?
the best and worst part.
Yeah.
Geez, I don't know.
What a complex question to answer.
Yeah, it's getting real here. The worst part, honestly, is that I miss doing like small local events because like I moved at for Art of War, and I moved to a city that doesn't really have much of a local scene that I participate in. And like I honestly kind of miss when I was like pretty good at the game but not current level, and I could just like go hang out with like the same group of friends in Central Florida at an RTT at a store, and I just play 3 people who I've played all 3 of them 10 times before. I'd take a little fuck around army. I miss that because I don't really have time.
I'm gonna lie, it's nice having access to that still in Scotland because like everyone's pretty close together.
Yeah, I think I've been to 1 RTT in the last 4 years.
Yeah, I do like 1 or 2 a month still because it's just easy.
Yeah.
What's the best part?
Best part is all the Warhammer models that I have unbuilt now.
Sounds like a
in
best
the US
and
is
worst
so much
part,
better than
but
prize
yes.
money in the UK, by the way.
It's not prizes. I just
I know.
That's pretty great.
The one event that I like podiumed in the US, I got more prize money at Mythicals for coming third than I have for any event I've ever had in the UK combined, which is wild.
I should
So,
plug for Rogue State at the end of this, but
you probably should.
I'll do that later.
Next question. How do you feel about the alleged Aaron Rodgers transfer to the New York Jets and along with it a round of former Packers? Is history doomed to repeat itself? This is from Sam.
History is 1,000% going to repeat itself. I am very at peace with it. I've enjoyed a lot of years of Green Bay being like definitely one of the best, but never actually the best. I actually modeled my own 40K career after that. So yeah, I'm going to go on podcasts and say that I'm the Aaron Rodgers of 40K.
No.
Until you start like shilling like concussion water or something like that, I'm sure you haven't quite hit that point.
We can sell you water that protect you from Grey Knights round 1, I promise.
some rocks.
As long as I'm not like stealing money from like, the underprivileged members of Mississippi, I'm still doing well.
Oh man, that Brett Favre thing is just a fucking disaster. That is horrible.
Yeah, I had
to build a volleyball center
in my closet. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Are you planning on doing a European event besides WT? That's not British, actually continental Europe at any point.
At any point, almost certainly. Have I planned it at the moment? No. My next European adventure, because I've only been to Europe for WDC once, is I'm planning to be at Warhammer Fest at the end of April. And as far as European trips go, I'm just going to kind of like do that one at a time. WDC was a little bit different because it was like a long vacation, and also I brought my girlfriend with me, which was wonderful, but that's not going to be every tournament. So I'm just going to kind of do one European trip for 40K only, see how that goes, and then start looking at if I ever get to continental Europe for an event. Which I'd love.
We should drag John to winter teams in Zagreb sometime.
I'd be down.
It's the same weekend as Elvio.
Oh, it's the same weekend as Elvio. That's perfect.
Great.
Lord knows we don't need to go to Elvio ever again. Fuck that place.
Chris has pinged me to make sure that I ask this question. Does pineapple belong on pizza, John?
I thought we were skipping that one because Chris doesn't deserve to be answered questions of.
Yeah, like what kind of a garbage human would ask that?
We're going to go to Logan's question then because we got a good answer to that one. Do you watch the popular HBO series The Last of Us, John?
I have watched several episodes of it, but I'm not caught up. So if we're about to discuss it, I think
I think he's specifically referencing a meme. Did it originate in our Discord?
Yeah.
Probably.
Okay. Logan.
When you
thinks
join
look
the Discord, we'll find it
Logan
for
thinks
you.
you look like someone in the show. That's why he's asking.
Mhm.
Damn.
I think there are memes of it.
No.
We're gonna when you join the Discord later today, you can find them. We'll find them. for you.
I'm sure I can. I'm sure I can. Well, I haven't been. I got that.
How do you think GW will buff T-Suns and Deathwatch?
How do I think they will?
Badly.
They're getting Armor Contempt back. Nobody else is.
I think Thousand Suns are gonna like get Armor of Contempt back, and then Smite's not gonna go up, and the game's gonna explode. Like they're gonna just fuck
so
this
ready.
all the way up.
No, let me tell you how this is going to go. Thousand Suns are going to get like turbo busted, and everyone will know it, but Chaos players won't be able to win with it. Deathwatch will get one completely irrelevant change, and GW will wonder why, like, not fixing Doctrines didn't fix Deathwatch. Because, like, you would think that you could just say, oh, the one Space Marine chapter that doesn't get Doctrines in any meaningful way, your super doctrine is your Doctrines are worse. You would think GW would look at that and would be like, oh, maybe that's why they're the lowest win rate, because they don't have the rules everyone else does. And they're forced to have shit rules instead.
Nah, bro, they're gonna get +1 VP on shock tactics just for them.
Yeah, like they're gonna like change. It's what's their fucking secondary? It's like don't have enemy units in your deployment zone ever.
They don't even have that one anymore. I'm pretty sure.
Did they?
What-
Keep,
Oh,
I'm
no,
sure they kept the
no.
kill aliens one, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna get 6 points for every slot they wipe out to a cap of 15.
Just auto 15.
I'm gonna
immediately.
pick Lords of War, Lords of War dedicated transports, bro. But I'm playing Tyranids.
Yeah. They're gonna be able to pick ones that you don't have.
Yeah, so +1 point on that secondary, nothing else. And no, they can't do that, Anthony. That'd be too good. And then Thousand Suns are gonna get like, God, they're gonna get the weirdest shit. Like they're gonna get free warp flamers and like +1 AP on everything in the army.
All this dust is just gonna apply to all weapons.
Yeah, all is Jesus Christ.
All this just applies. It applies to mortal wounds as well. You just
All
get it
is
from
dust.
All right. We have one
We're
more
gonna
question
take-
from here, which is John. You got to include one thing gets included in the next balance day. It's like, what is it?
One thing.
One thing.
Okay. I think honestly, you can fix most of 40K's problem with a keyword change. You replace the Eldari keyword wherever it's found with Age of Sigmar.
I'm with him. That's right. We have a few of the questions that are through from super chats that we're going to quickly burst through. Thank you, John, for putting some money towards my new mic. I think I got that sorted. Nobody's complained since.
Yeah, you've been good since.
Shackleton Magram recommends that they allow Crusade and competitive. I think this is the arc that Nathan needs to finally start playing events.
Yeah, maybe.
And
Man,
I mean, Adepticon wouldn't be lessened for the experience.
It would be the best possible thing for Nathan's local Crusade League if this happened.
Please tell me
Does
that.
the Art of War have a Crusade League, John?
I have played 2 games of Crusade.
Nathan's played 2 this week.
Oh no!
I actually haven't played any Crusade.
Yeah.
Oh, do your guardsmen not hit on? Do your Kazakhs not hit on ones yet?
They hit on 2s.
Oh, no,
Rerolling
it's a good
with
subtle
exploding
version of that.
sevens.
I blame Shackleton Mangram, who I saw was in the chat. No, Shackleton Mangram was like, "Hey, play a game with 50 XP of like things," and I just went like picked out Tyranid ones, like one of each. I'm like, "This is cool." And then Jack shows up and he's like, "Yeah, I made all of my Caladius damage 3, anyways." I'm like,
That's how you really do
Chelsea
it.
asks, "Who has influenced your 40K game the most?" We should all feel this one, but because it's a fun one.
Yeah, this is a good question.
Sean.
The way I've played the game, honestly, Andrew Gagne. Andrew Gagne was like the top player that I needed to bounce off of twice to get from like just below the glass ceiling to just above it and then be able to climb again. Like, yeah.
That's fair. I think as far as like a local player goes, Aiden Higgins is one. He's one of the X Team Scotland guys who I bounced off of a dozen times in tournaments before I finally figured out how to start winning. But I would actually say Manny is the reason that I decided to just start winning stuff. Because I was like, look, man, if he can fucking do it, I'm gonna fucking do it. And that worked pretty well for me.
I think Reese has influenced your games a lot, but fair enough.
And man, that was actually that one specific ref who was like, no, those windows definitely exist.
The windows they didn't finish building.
Yeah, the windows that were on the models that shouldn't have been on the models.
If you're gonna be lazy, you might as well do it all
standing
the
not
way.
on the train was definitely still in the terrain. Yeah, that guy had a lot of influence on my current hatred of 40k.
I'm
And
gonna
Nick
pick
Curty
more.
asks, "What's one unit that 100% needs to be busted?"
You skip Nathan, you fuck.
Nathan's not been influenced by anybody. Come on, then, Nathan.
Oh wow! I was gonna say my stat check co-host, but not
Yeah.
anymore, you fucker. Just
Yeah, what a
Anthony
nice
now.
thing he almost said.
Just Anthony now.
That's fair. I mean, you've played Anthony. You've not played me, so
I don't
Sure.
need to
Well, we
have
played on
played you for you
TTS
to
once, right?
influence my game. To
Yeah.
be fair,
Can't
I
believe
guess
it.
not.
just keep going.
I'm sorry, Nathan. I
I'm
love you.
done
anyway.
with you, NS.
And what is the number one unit that needs to be busted in 10th?
Aberrants.
I was gonna say it's gonna be
Sorrow
one of the random Tyranid data sheets
Damage
that
3
doesn't
con,
get
bro.
played
Damage
at
3
all.
con.
I would love to see the Toxicrene just be like pants
That's
on.
what it is. There you go.
But it doesn't matter because it can't move.
Yeah,
I would
that's
love
why
to
it would be
do this.
great.
There are ways around this. You stop counting banners and arms for 10th edition.
You've got to put it sideways on its base so you can slide it through.
Modeling for advantage is back. I actually got approval from an event to model for advantage because I just like asked. I was very like straightforward with what I was doing. I'm like, hi, I'm looking at bringing a Toxicrane. All cards on the table. Can I model for advantage and put his arms not to the side? And he's like, 1 second. Comes back to me after looking at Games Workshop's website, and he's like, yeah, you can just do that. I'm like,
If you put it sideways on its base, it kind of fits through gaps. But I reckon you could make that thing just flat up, like on hit, do 6 mortal wounds, and it would still not be playable on most boards.
no. I'll also vote for the Vulture gunship.
You'd have to bring it back, right? It's in the
Yeah.
Legends.
No, the Vulture's not Legends, did.
Now,
I was
the
gonna
Vulture
say hell.
exists. It's just dead.
I was gonna say Hellhounds, just because I think that would be kind of funny.
Yeah. I tell you what I do like right now. You know how Valkyries can go into hover mode, but it doesn't get rid of their airborne rule. So I think we
What?
should just give them that. Yeah, so Valkyries, when they go into hover mode, don't lose the airborne rule because there's nothing in their rule. They added the airborne rule to their datasheet in the FAQ, but didn't like change the hover mode rule to
Wait.
reference it in any way. So
The number
they
one-
can hover, but it doesn't let them charge, and it doesn't let anything charge them.
No more.
The number one unit that needs to be busted in 10th and needs the biggest buffs is GW's editing team is what they need. That's it. They need to hire a copy editor. That's the thing that could be busted.
Somehow it will still be Kazakin. Like they're gonna get rid of everything, and Kazakin will still be the best unit in the game.
Yo, buff Blood
Somehow.
Crushers for real. Why is that unit still terrible?
Why not?
I would like Hive Strain Gene Stealers to be the best unit in that codex again.
I
Uh-oh.
miss when Gene Stealers like had the same profile as Beer Strains.
Or
And man, they sure do pregame move now, or pregame deploy now instead of advanced.
can we
charge.
go to a realm where Tyranids play like Tyranids do in lore and it's just gaunts? Just
It's like
gaunts
4-point
everywhere?
gaunts back. 4-point gaunts is what I really want for
Oh, sure.
Christmas.
Somewhere, somehow, Eric is just erect, and he doesn't know why. But that's true.
Dude, I have so many gaunts I would play if they were 4 points. So
Yeah.
many.
I used to be.
All right.
Let's do
John,
plugs.
do you want to do your plugs? Then we'll do our plugs and we'll close out.
Done. So my plugs. If you haven't already, make sure you check out the Art of War 40K on YouTube and our website, theartofwar40k.com. We have a ton of free content on YouTube that you can go check out. It's myself and a bunch of other top level players such as Richard Seeger, Nick Nanavati, Jack Harpster, etc., who are there to teach you how to become better at Warhammer. You can also, he's not on our videos,
Nope.
but we still love him. We still love you, Anthony. And you can also find a lot more on the War Room, as well as access to the Art of War Discord, which is a wonderful global community full of like-minded individuals who are there to learn about the game they love. And there's a lot less shit talking, but it's all productive 40K. So if you want that, just get in 2 Discords, one for shit talking, one for questions.
Exactly. That's all
There
you
you
really
get
need in 40K.
Really
One
all
for
you need.
talking,
You can
one for
get in the
discussion.
Stat Check Discord too. Just memes and dreams, just put together.
And I mean, like, Art of War is mostly for the shit talking, the orange
That's
dots
the
now, right?
tagline of our Discord is memes and dreams.
We should make John. We should make John do our plugs as well, like we made that. We made Adam do ours.
Can I, before John does our plugs for us, can I just plug Steve Joel's Champions of 40K one more
Sure.
time? Go watch Champions of 40 or listen to Champions of 40K by friend of the show, Steve Joel, at championsoffortyk.com. Please and thank
I'm
you.
going to very quickly answer Climbmo's question because it was a super chat. You bring the biggest guns you can and hope you go first. Thank you, Climbmo, for your question about how to prepare for Adepticon singles.
Things that can go into strategic reserve to reduce your footprint and then shoot
That
them to
too.
death.
Yeah, and like play Sisters and bring like 3 Battle Sanctums and you might have terrain on your board.
There you go.
Counterpoint, bring guard with 3 Battle Sanctums.
I don't think that's legal now.
It's not.
You could
Surely
bring
not.
that
Oh,
terrain
okay.
piece that guard had, I
Used to.
suppose.
The Aegis defense line.
Yeah, just bring 3 Aegis defense lines or something.
Cool. Right. As for us, thank you for bearing with us for another episode. We're not answering more super chat questions. I'm closing us out now.
That's not even a question.
It's not even a question. Even better. Thank you so much to everybody for listening. This has been episode 35. If you've enjoyed the show, you can check us out at patreon.com/statcheck if you want to support us a bit more. Get access to this wonderful Discord with all these memes about John looking like a character from Last of Us, or any number of other things, including being able to speak to us pretty frequently. Otherwise, check out the YouTube channel. We're live every Tuesday at 11 p.m. GMT, slightly different this week because we had daylight savings time. That is also 5 p.m. Eastern and 6 p.m. Central, and whatever 6 p.m. Eastern. It's 5 p.m. for me right now. It's the other way around. That's the problem.
Yeah.
6 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central, sometime in Australia that nobody knows because that continent's only kind of real. Thank you so much, everyone, for being with us. We will catch you next week with another show. I don't think we have a guest next week, so this should be the first week that we're doing guestless for a little bit. We'll be talking about prep for probably Adepticon. I'm off to Manchester that weekend. I don't know if anybody else is doing stuff from the hosts, but we'll see what's happening.
Done, baby.
You're what? You're all as dust. Of course you are. And then
Oh.
after that, we're going into, I've got Home Nations. We've got Alpine Cup coming up for myself and Anthony. So we've got lots to talk about in the next couple of weeks. So we look forward to catching you, and we will see you next week.
Bye-bye.